Good evening, everybody. My name is Charles Carter, and we're going to start the Friday Stunt Hangar video Hangout. And today is September 25th. Hope all is going well with you guys, and pretty shortly we're going to get this thing started. I just want to make a few announcements. One is that this needs to be family room friendly. We're going to be talking about model aviation, which should be family room friendly, right? I mean, we're talking about building and flying model airplanes. It could be control line stunt, control line anything, and even RC. Okay, I don't personally fly that, but model aviation and also whatever you did in your shop or been doing in the shop. We welcome show and tells. Those are always very informative. I'm the kind of person that I learn by seeing, and so it's really good for me to see those show and tells. I also want to encourage you to join. We have a membership. It starts at $4.99 a month, and it helps Sparky pay for the cost of the programming, and particularly when he goes to these contests. And it's been great for me to be out here on the West Coast and Sparky out there in Ohio or wherever he goes, and I get to see um, live video of what's going on. I saw live video of the Nats this year. Um, that type of broadcasting is not free, so we definitely appreciate that. And then also to like, subscribe, share. All these helps with the analytics to grow this program. And so, without any further ado, I don't think I missed anything. Oh, by the way, if you want to participate in the program, come into Stunthangar .com/SMF. And if you are a member, you can go to the At the Bench thread, and there's a link I'm going to post very shortly on how to get into here. And then if you have a mic and if you have a camera, we'll see and hear you, and that'd be great. And I'd love to have some new guests, some new blood. There's always a little bit of excitement, uplift when someone new comes in, and you don't even have to be an expert or anything. We just everyone has a perspective of this hobby, and I like to hear it. Now, if you're not a member, continue to participate on the YouTube side. There's a chat box there. You can sometimes those guys are having their own program in a sense. They're communicating with one another, and I keep an eye on that. And if any questions come up, I will try to bring this into the conversation, and that is always a good thing for everybody. So, anyways, I think that's everything. So let me go ahead and go to the Stunt Hangar. I'm going to go ahead and post the link right now. Let's see here. Come on. Here we go. I got two screens, by the way, and so it's a little tricky sometimes getting the. All right, so post. Right now we have two viewers, and so I just posted the link, and let me see where the pop-out chat is. I'm looking at my other screen, by the way. So let's see here. There's the pop. There's that, and there's no one there on the chat yet. I expect some people to join me shortly. But anyways, I don't know if you guys are aware of this, but on Stunt Hangar, it's a forum, and we have thousands of members to the forum. And I posted a question on there that had a little bit of traction because I'm training a guy how to fly. I'm here in Escondido, California, by the way. So anyone who's, hey, Tryon, you're the first one in.
I'm the first one in. Oh my goodness.
You are the first one.
Yes.
And again, I want to apologize, Tryon. I have not watched the video yet. I feel terrible. I will get to it. I will get to it. I'm very interested in watching you fly, buddy.
Okay.
Cool.
That's cool. Yeah.
And Gary, I think Gary Sinclair is coming in. All right. Fantastic.
Nice.
So now we're going to be starting the show.
What I'm doing today, I'm polishing this mold.
Wow. Now, what do you use to polish it?
Just sanding paper.
Okay. You don't use
Sanding.
like a.
Right now I'm at sanding with 220 grit, and then it's gonna be I don't know what else. I have 600, and then double it every time, like 1,000, 2,000, 3,000, and then buff it out.
Now at the end, do you use a polish or toothpaste at the
Yes.
end?
Yeah, I use a polish.
Okay.
Yeah, it's nothing fancy. Is this?
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah, it's just. I made one half.
Oh wow. Wow.
Nice.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
That is
So
Yeah. Hmm.
that is awesome, Tryan.
yeah. So
Wow.
yeah, the nice part is you put the work in one time, and after that, the work is done for you.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah, and if I get to do a good job on painting in a mold, then when you pull the part out, it's nice and flat, no bumps, no overlaying of paint or something like that. And actually, you don't really care how much, uh, how you when you put the paint on, if it's a little bit heavier, a little bit lighter, or something like that. It's the way it builds up, right?
Right. Right. Now, when you
So
paint it, are you talking about putting paint on the whole wing surface, or can you paint stripes or trim, or what are you talking about?
whatever you want, you can do anything. So uh, I would like to have the paint job that I have on this plane over here. Uh, I would like to have it on done in a mold. So that's kind of the goal.
That is very cool, man. That is so awesome that you're so far down the road as far as technology. I really admire your plane. Everybody does. I don't think anyone doesn't admire it. We're all. I'm kind of envious. I wish I could do that type of work.
Uh-huh.
I'm sure I could if someone showed me. I'm sure I have the aptitude to do that. There's no doubt in my mind. But
If you can build a wood plane, you can make a mold.
yeah, right. Yeah,
It's not that hard, Just instead of building a plane and being worried about weight and all this stuff, just make the mold. What you want to make sure that you have when the mold is finished, and when you put the molds out, you must make sure that you have a way to register them. You know what that is, right?
no,
Yeah. I,
All right. All right. Give me 1 second.
sure, sure. Thank you.
Okay. So here's an example. It doesn't matter which way you make the mold. You can make a positive, like a normal part, like a wing or something like that, and then make the mold, or you can cut it on a CNC machine, whichever technique of making a mold that you choose to employ. A couple of things needs to happen, right? So first of all is registering. Do you see the pins over here?
Oh yes. Okay. Yes, I do.
Okay. So those pins is going to stop the mold from doing this number, right?
Right. Yeah.
Okay.
Wow.
And every time they go together, they're going to go in the same spot.
Right.
Okay.
Right.
Another thing you want to do on the mold, do you see the channel on the outside?
Yes, I do see that. Yeah.
mhm.
You must have a way for the excess resin to go somewhere.
Right.
Okay. That's another thing, right? Um, when you do it in the machine, it's easy. You put a ball nose end mill and you just run around the perimeter, whatever.
Right.
If you want to do it uh, uh, manually, you can just take a piece of, I don't know. If I think off the top of my head, I'll just take one of those dowel pins.
Yeah.
Okay, put it on a small table saw or something like that. Just hack it in half
Right.
and sand it off and slap it in there in a mold next
Right.
to your part somewhere. It doesn't have to be everywhere, but just pretty much uh, make like a perimeter of some sort, right?
Right. Right. Right.
So yeah, you already know how to build a wood part, right?
Right.
So from that point on, it's all you have to do, just the same wood part that you'd build. When you build it like in two halves this time, right?
Right.
So if it's a landing gear mold, you probably get the two halves and make the two halves, right? But when you make the two halves, you keep in mind this, that you want to have a way to register them and align them, right?
Right. Right.
So depending which way you want to make it, let's say you have let's say a wing, for example, something simple, right? A wing. When you make, let's say you put a piece of plywood on a parting line, right?
Right.
So that you have two pieces of plywood that's going to lay on top of each other, right?
Right. Right.
And then you have one half of the wing built on one side, the other half of the wing on the other side.
Right.
Just plain example. Now, when you take these two pieces of plywood, what you want to do, the first thing you want to do, you want to drill two holes through them. Bam, bam. And
Right.
put a couple of pins in there, right?
Right.
So, and then you want to take a piece of whatever you want to put the wing on to make the mold itself, maybe some particle board, some of that shiny stuff, the particle board, and you take
Right.
your pieces of plywood and you drill those two holes. Bang, bang, right?
Right. Right.
Make sense?
Right. It
So
does.
what happens after you build your two halves? You can put them and align them on the two pins, right?
Right. Right.
Now you can use the same two pins to put the two particle boards one on top of each other and drill two more holes. Those are going to be your register holes. So everything is aligned. When you
Right.
after you build your two halves, you can put them on the top of the board, right?
Right.
Okay. You build your mold and you have the alignment pins as well. So now when you pull this mold out, you have alignment pins, you have a channel, and you know the part is in a proper position.
Right. Right.
Kind of like you just have to think ahead like that. It's
I
just
follow you.
simple.
I'm with you. I totally am with you. I understand
And
every step.
anybody can do that. I
Yeah.
mean, seriously, anybody can do that.
Right.
Was the part of it like it's a little bit of a commitment, right? Once you make a mold of something, you kind of have the mold for the something.
Right.
Okay, so make sure it's something you like, something that works, or something that's gonna, you know,
Now that mold that you just showed me on the landing gear, right? Those two halves.
yeah,
So you just laying down the carbon fiber in there
yeah.
on each side, and they come together. But is there something that's going to be like a positive and negative to hold is the other side kind of like concave versus the inverse of that, so that it squeezes the what you laid down, what you laid up in there.
Okay, I see what your question is. The thing is like there are different styles of molding things. Okay,
Right.
there you can vacuum bag apart, you can compression mold it, you can use an inflation bladder, and those are the pretty much the three major ways. Or just lay down and then join it and do some kind of joining, right?
Right.
And depending on what you make it, what you are making, sometimes it's easier to do one thing, and sometimes it's easier to do the other thing, or maybe a combination of things. Okay.
Okay.
So what I would do, what people usually do in parts like this, like a fuselage for a glider or something like that, find something that's with thin wall, hollow, and you have some kind of seam that you want to close, right?
Right.
Like the landing gear, like a wheel pants, for example, right? Um, Perhaps that's a good place to use inflation bladder. Inflation bladder is basically a balloon that you put inside, and when it inflates, pushes everything against the mold.
Right.
Long story short, so the trick to it is that say if your mold is here, right? You
Right.
take one side and you go from here, from parting line to parting line, maybe a little bit below it, right?
Okay.
Stay a little bit shallow of it. Now on the opposite side here, right? You
Right.
go above the parting line to above the parting line.
All right. I'm with you.
Okay. So what you do after that, you take this extra that you have here and just fold it over gently. Okay.
Okay.
And take a little bit of string, sewing string, right?
Right.
And just wrap it around so it holds that lip inside. Okay.
Okay.
And at the same time you have the the bladder that sits inside of it, right?
Right.
Okay. So now you close the two halves. You take an X-Acto knife and you cut it down, cut the strings out, and pull them out from the other side, right?
Right.
And you bolt the mold in position, and after that, as you put pressure to the bladder is going to take this seam that's like this and opens it up
Right.
and closes the seam all the way around, and also squeezes out the excess resin.
Okay.
So you can make a nice light part and stuff like that. So that's kind of the actually that's the technique I'm going to use for this one. It's called inflation bladder.
So
And
when
if you can see, there's a place for my bladder to go in
I
there.
see that, yeah, I was wondering what that was. I thought that was part of the landing gear.
No, that's just a place for my bladder to go in there. And the landing gear, this is just a landing gear, wheel pants, right?
Wheel pants, right?
Yep,
Excellent. Now the inflation bladder, is that inflated with air or liquid or what?
air.
Wow.
Yep.
So
So
now, do you make the inflation bladder, or are they readily available?
no, you make it all the time. You just make a template for it, and you put your plastic like this on two layers on top of each other. You take put some so it's plastic, and on top of it some wax paper, and you take your template on top of it, right? So then you take your soldering iron and you come around the edge, and basically what you do, you melt the edge of the plastic together, you weld it together.
Right.
So
Okay.
make like a special size balloon, special shaped balloon, right?
Wow. Okay.
And then you can take the excess, just cut off the excess on a balloon. If you do a good job, sometimes when you solder and you close the seam together,
Right.
you also cut it down. You cut it off right there. You part it off with a hot, soldering iron,
Wow.
and and you just turn it inside out, and you put it over there. You have some kind of a connection to your uh, pump, whatever, and you just fill it up with air. Done. Uh,
Wow.
and yeah, there's a lot of work in the preparation, right? The
Yeah.
mold has to be done, then the template for the bladder, then the connecting. You have to connect it somehow to the air hose to put the pressure inside. So it's a lot of work. But once you have all this work done to make a part like that, it takes you like 15 minutes.
How much do these wheel pants weigh?
It depends how big they are and what material you put in there.
Wow. That's
See,
awesome.
that's the beauty of making a mold, Charles. That's the beauty of making a mold. You can put anything inside of it, and if you don't like it, you make another one. All right. The
Wow.
shape doesn't change; they just change the idea. Well, I made this part, and it was kind of weak in this spot. Okay. Well, next time add a little patch over there. Okay.
Right.
It's too strong, too heavy. Okay. Use a lighter material next time. It's as simple as that.
Wow. That
Doesn't
is
have to be
really
complicated.
impressive.
Huh?
Now, are you using a CNC machine and a router to make that mold? That mold looks pretty like it was done on a computer.
Which one? This one?
No, the smaller one, the one for the wheel pans.
Yeah, they're both done. They're both done like that.
I mean, is this a router, a CNC router you use, or what? What did you use to machine it?
Yes. Yeah. Any CNC machine of some sort.
You use it at home?
No, that was at work and my last job.
Wow.
Yeah.
Have you seen the video that Sparky's doing right now? He did. I missed it. I worked Tuesday night and I worked Thursday night, but he bought a CNC router and he's putting it together in his apartment. Have you seen
Okay.
that?
I think he got a laser cut, or what did he get, a
Yeah, it's
router?
a laser cutter and a router. It's
And
a
a router.
combination. He was
Yeah.
assembling the base of it when I last saw it. I guess
Uh-huh.
I must have saw it. Must have watched it Wednesday night. And
Mm-hmm.
so the following night, when I was going to be working Thursday night, last night, I guess he was
Mm-hmm.
going to try to make a part, with the software and everything. But
Mm-hmm.
he'd bought it. I think he paid around $400, and I'm not
That's a
sure.
good price. You basically have a small laser cut in your house.
Yeah, I don't know what he's planning on doing with it specifically, but I mean, I was intrigued with that. I mean, you know, what it's probably. I'm not sure what the span of the router is. Um, you know, I don't know. I don't want to be mistaken. I
Hmm.
don't know what it is, but it's a convenient size. I mean, it's not a
Hmm.
very big one. But obviously, it's for 400
Yeah.
bucks.
Hmm. Yeah. Yeah. I think I've seen something like this similar to that, and yeah. Um, the price alone tells me that like, it's not a really strong or rigid machine, and you need a strong and you need a rigid machine to cut anything with accuracy. Okay, if you want to just cut balsa or something like that, something light, yeah, that's going to work perfectly. It depends what you are trying to achieve and what you're trying to do with them.
Yeah, I don't know if that would cut those molds that you did, but not compared to what you did. You did yours at a commercial facility, so I'm sure there's no
Hmm.
comparison. Let me just
Yeah.
say hi to Peter. Hey, Peter, how are you?
Hi, Peter.
Okay, doing fine, thank you.
Copy.
Did you see the conversation Tryan and I were having about molding?
Nope, I wasn't on yet.
Yeah, well, you're definitely going to want to watch it, rewind it, and watch the rerun. Very fascinating.
So yeah, so that's so inflation bladder is when you put a balloon inside the mold, you lay the material, put a balloon inside, and push the material against the mold with pressure from the inside. Okay.
Right. Yeah.
Vacuum bagging, yes, it's opposite. You put stuff inside the mold, then you put it inside the inside of a bag. You take the air out and use the atmospheric pressure to push things against the mold, right?
Right.
Compression molding, it's a different animal. It's usually it's a solid core technique of molding in which you use the core is it's cut slightly oversized. So for example, if you want to make a wing, the wing would be a little bit like 30 thousandths of an inch thicker than it should be. It has to be, right?
Right.
And what you do when you lay out the material at the top and the bottom, when you close the mold and you put the core inside, is going to put is going to compress it, brute force like a stamp. You know, just push it
Right.
back to the finished size, brute
Right.
force, right?
Right.
Um, and that's compression molding, right? For most parts, we use vacuum bagging for our purposes, right?
Right.
Or nothing at all.
You know,
Because if you use soft turns and stuff like that, you don't even need to vacuum bag.
I
Um,
remember
uh,
seeing the mold that you lent Wendy. You lent him the molds for your props.
mhm.
That big aluminum thing. He had nuts and bolts throughout. I remember Wendy cranking down all these
Mhm.
bolts because
Okay.
it was a that was a what you're talking about, right? That when it
No,
was like
it's yeah, it's kind of like compression molding, but this wasn't compression molding. That was basically to squeeze out the excess resin and push those fibers back into shape, right? Because I had excess fibers, and actually some of it was even squeezing out through the sides, right?
right,
Now, what compression molding would be in that technique is if you put like carbon on one side, carbon on the other side, and in between them you put a piece of foam core of some
okay,
sort,
okay, all right,
and you cut the foam a little bit oversized. By the way, that's a great technique to make a super light prop for electrical planes,
mm-hmm.
which is stiff. With a light prop that's stiff, and you can probably make a you could probably take at least 30% of the weight out of a Igor prop, for example.
Yeah, I had an opportunity to buy a three blade hollow prop, and I'm kicking myself for not picking it up because the guy was willing to give it to me for very little money, uh,
Mm-hmm.
and I just kicked myself for not buying it. He had a matching carbon fiber spinner as well, but it was
Uh-huh.
three blade hollow props,
Okay.
carbon fiber. I don't know who made it, but I kicked myself for not picking that up.
Uh-huh. Yeah, yeah. Well, yeah. Um, what I can say about but I've seen those hollow props and stuff like that, and I was thinking about even make my own prop again. And then I kind of went back and forth with the idea. I kind of wrestled with it a little bit. So um, First of all, they're kind of expensive, and I'm a cheapskate. Second of all, and hey, John.
Yeah.
So uh, and I didn't really agree with the way they mold them, the idea of how they mold the props, because they're, to be honest, I don't think they gain a whole lot by molding them the way they do. Um, I'm not trying to be too critical, but I think if they did compression molding on those props, it's going to be a bunch lighter and just as stiff. So I was thinking about just making a prop, just making like a compression molding prop. And what I was also thinking about doing, I was thinking about doing just a single blade prop. And by controlling the way I make the props, the way I lay the material inside, stuff like that, the consistency of the material and everything else, they should come out pretty much balanced and the same weight each one of them, and have a motor hub with that will accept the individual blades, right? So I can index it. I can make a 4-blade prop, a 3-blade prop, a 2-blade prop,
Okay.
whatever. you know,
Right.
really go nuts on the IDA if I really wanted to. So I mean, if I have like 12 station over there, I can make anything from 2-blade, anything that rhymes with two or three, right?
Right. Right. Yeah.
Mhm.
Can be a 6-blade, the 3-blade. But it's like, yeah, I'm looking at it. I'm super happy with what I have right now. Honestly, I don't see a reason for which uh, to change a whole lot. The props I'm using right now, they're super light. They're inexpensive. They're very very well made. They're made on CNC machines. By the looks of it, I know you cannot do them by hand fast enough to be productive, and I also know they're not done like Brodek does them, or used to, because I've seen in a video how they do them on a milling machine with some kind of profile cutter, and then that's kind of works nice, but if you ask me, yeah, anyways. But these props are very very nicely made, and they come balanced. All I have to do is just put them on and fly them. That's about it.
And that is nice. I'm actually bouncing a CNC wooden prop. I got two wooden props from the Ukraine for
Hmm.
my stalkers, and they're really nice. But one of them, I don't know why, but it's this one blade's really heavier than the other. So much heavier that I'm actually painting the light side. 'Cause I don't want to remove too much wood sanding it, so I'm just actually doping the light side to make it so it be balanced.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, that's cool. Yeah, yeah, I've seen some stalkers running, and they seem to run well. Um, yeah, yeah. If it works for you, works for you. That's great.
Yeah. Let me say hi to the guys on the chat. Hey Jeffrey and Todd and Jack Snavely, and Todd, thanks for coming in and appreciate you guys. Go ahead and be part of the show or be amongst yourself. I'll keep tabs on you guys.
Yeah, yeah.
Go ahead, John.
I saw something funny. This was Sparky made his own test with carbon fiber. That was kind of interesting.
I've seen the video, but I didn't see it entirely. I mean, I just saw the thumbnail. I'm curious to watch it.
Yeah, yeah. It's what he actually proved in a video is he proved that the veil has no structural integrity value whatsoever.
Right. And you don't
That's
use veil. You use you don't use veil, right? You don't
He
use
did use veil.
veil,
Yeah, he used veil.
but you don't use veil, right? You use
I
a
don't use veil. No,
you use a what's it called? It's a cross. It's a unit. The one that you use.
I use all kinds of stuff. Charles, I use all kinds of stuff. I use hmm. Yeah, I have all kinds of stuff. I have it's called Carbo Weave, which is a spread tow fiber in which one layer goes in one direction like this, trans side by side, and the
Right.
other layer goes like this in opposite direction, plus minus 45 degrees. So
Unidirectional. That's right.
yes,
Unidirectional.
yeah, so that's unidirectional. I also use unidirectional strands in which all the strands go in one direction, but they have some very, very fine stuff, almost like veil kind of thing, just to hold them from spreading apart and just folding apart, right?
Right.
It's just a handling thing more than it. Just to for you to be able to handle that and have those fibers stay in unity, kind of thing. I have something here. Yeah, this might be enough. See that?
Nice. Yeah.
So this is not. You see, this is flexible,
Yeah.
and yeah. I'm not sure. I can't remember what I used this for, but this is with a 3M77. I put a piece of fiberglass on the backside.
Oh, okay.
And this is the fiberglass goes like this in this direction at 45 degrees, and this is the unidirectional. Okay.
Wow.
So you can do stuff like this. So this is the unidirectional carbon fiber. Let's see.
You could sandwich some 1/8 balsa to make a nice former or bulkhead, right?
With that unidirectional?
Yeah.
No, it's not. It's too thin for that.
All right.
Yeah, you want something thicker than that.
That's neat
Here's
stuff.
another example of material. This is Carbo Weave. And
Okay.
here, let's try to do this. So you can.
Oh yeah. Good idea.
Do you see that?
I see the weave. Yeah. Oh yeah. It's a very good example of. I can see it. I can see the weave really clear.
So these are pretty much my two weapon of choice, like my go-to fibers. So, I mean, if you are thinking about what to use in a plane, in any plane right now, like a built-up wood plane,
Yeah.
I would use some of that on all your spars. How many planes did you see the wings folding in the air? Never, right?
Actually, I haven't been present when someone lost a plane due to wings folding. I've only heard of it. I've never seen it happen. Even the wood planes, I've never seen it happen, but I've heard of it. But I've never heard of the carbon fiber wings folding up.
No. The wood wings, the typical wood wings, right?
Right.
Like in our planes. I know Chris Rudd folded wings just before the Nats or something like that. And I know a lot of people are folding wings left and right.
Yeah, I had foam wings fold on me. Yep.
Yeah, I flew some on his planes and the wings on the plane folded.
It was the funniest thing. It was an overhead aid. I'm doing it like this, like this, like this, and like oops. Oh geez, look at that.
Yeah, look at that, exactly.
That's heartbreaking. Yeah. I mean, just hearing it is heartbreaking.
Yeah. And that unidirectional weighs 100 grams per square meter, right?
Okay.
1 meter by 1 meter. That it weighs 100 grams, right?
Wow.
So it's about 36 inches or so.
Right.
So if you divide 100 by 36 and divide by 2 again, that's about how much weight you add by laminating that little piece of carbon on top of your balsa wood.
Right.
It doesn't add any weight.
Wow. Yeah, I'm going to do that with my my plane I'm constructing.
Yeah, I mean, just here I have a calculator here. So let's see. So you have 100 grams per square inch divided by 36. So it's 2.7 grams, right?
Right.
But that's for a 1 inch wide.
That's right.
And using only quarter of an inch on each side. Quarter inch on the top, quarter inch on the bottom.
Right. Right.
So that divided by 2 is you add 1.38 grams.
Right.
for a whole wing.
Yeah.
And you don't have to go tip to tip. We can go just partial, right?
Right.
Let's double this. Let's say it's 3 grams, right? But that 1/4 inch worth of carbon, it's the equivalent of, let me show you what. Is the equivalent of, what it is? The equivalent of this. Actually, it's
Wow.
more than this. This is very conservative. If this
Right.
was 1/4 inch wide, and this is the balsa wood,
Right.
you add that 2 grams for the whole plane, and you gain this one. Imagine a spar like this on the top, one on the bottom.
Yeah. Right.
Do you think your wing will be a little bit stiffer?
Yeah, I think so.
Slightly, huh?
Yeah, just slightly.
Do you think it's gonna fold? Do you think this
I
thing is
don't
gonna
think. I
fold?
don't think so. I don't think so. No. Wow. Yeah, I got to do that to
It's not
my.
gonna happen.
I'm going to do that to my precious balsa.
So all you do, you take this stuff
Right.
and put a straight edge on it, and you can see the grain.
Yeah.
You see that?
Yeah, I see that.
Just put a straight edge with a razor blade and just cut it through.
Right.
Take some and put it like that vertical. Go with the 3M77, like spray.
Right.
You know what that is, right?
Yeah, I know that is.
And go like it on top. You just flip it over, go on the bottom, and then you take it and you just stick it on top of your balsa wood.
Wow.
But
Yeah.
you don't. That's not to glue with it. It's just to place it on top of the balsa wood, and you go like that, zip one time, and it stays there in position until you're ready to glue it permanently, right?
Right. Right.
So as you come with the sheeting on top of it, so imagine have the sheeting on top of it, right?
Right.
Now when you hit it with a thin CA, it's gonna glue everything.
Yeah.
The thin CA is gonna wick through the carbon, and it's also gonna glue the top and the bottom at the same time. And it's about the same. Yeah, but the strength over there, it's just so much better. This is what I did here. You remember when I made this?
Yeah. Right.
Do you see it there?
You can barely see it. Yeah, I see a little thin black line, top and bottom.
It's just sandwich in there.
Yeah.
But the stiffness of this piece, this is pretty light, but it's stiff like a board.
Wow.
And I guarantee you, like a lot of stabilizers that break right here in the center,
Right.
this will never break.
Very nice. Wow, that's very nice.
And it doesn't add much weight,
No.
I tell everybody this stuff. Nobody wants to
I know
use
you
it.
told me.
I haven't seen anybody saying, "Hey, I bought this stuff. I'm really glad. Whatever."
Yeah, I'm listening. Trust me, I'm
Yeah.
listening. I'm transitioning to more of a builder. So I made some notes, and I even have the products. You told me all the products before. I got a notebook with the item numbers from McMaster Car and the other. I think it was the composite stores you sent me to.
Yeah, I
Links.
have a bunch of composite sources. I even put in a building section, a composite building, and I put some videos. But what the guy does over there is vacuum bagging, basically. But the same theory that he's using over there to vacuum bag something can be used for anything else. It's exactly the same thing, right?
Very good.
Train where you get your carbon like that. Where
It
do you
depends
get your carbon?
what you want to get. There are different types of carbons and the different types of.
Well, the carbon like that you were just showing to put on spars.
It's Easy Composites in England.
All right, I'll look them up.
And they are. It costs like $15 a square meter. I think it costs you more to ship it.
Yeah.
Can't you get that out of that carbon place back in the West Coast?
Oh, no.
From where? From CST?
Yeah.
Let me see.
Those guys are so expensive. It's not.
Oh,
Yeah. Yeah, I try to look at their prices, but their prices are double for the same item. That the good part about them is probably a one-stop shopping place, right?
Yeah.
The bad part of it is just double the prices of everything.
Well, I was wondering because with the carbon you get in from England, and then you got to pay it costs more to ship it. You might be, 6 of one, half a dozen of the other when it comes down to it.
Entirely possible.
No, not this site.
Okay.
It's not this site. Go Easy Composites. Just do a search for Easy Composites.
Okay. I'll do that.
Who had that on? Peter.
I'll give you one guess.
Peter, do an Easy Composite search.
I'll give you one guess.
I know it's only a quick draw McCall, Peter.
This is the place I get my stuff from. It's called Fiberglass. I've never had any problems with them. They have carbon fiber. They have Kevlar. They have carbon toe. They have pretty much just about it. I don't know how prices compare.
Yeah, but their stuff, it's a little bit on the heavy side. They specialize in kind of common use stuff. They're not specialized in stuff that we actually use for our modeling.
I don't know. You pretty much have all sorts of carbon toe, carbon cloth, but then I've never had a problem with them. That's all.
I didn't say they're problematic or anything like that.
All I know is
I spend days looking for good prices and good quality material in order to get it from.
The thing
I
is,
pretty much know who has the best prices anywhere.
They're in the USA. You don't have to worry about
Sure.
international shipping and any kind of customs or anything like that. They're straight in the USA. You can go. They have an 800 number you can call.
It just breaks down. Do you want heavy wood or do you want light wood? And that's the same thing when it comes to carbon. You want heavy carbon or light carbon?
Okay, Peter, look at the fiberglass side. Tell me if you can find 3/4 ounce fiberglass in there. I guarantee you're not going to find it.
Yeah, what is it? Fabric, cloth, tapes, toe. What is it?
Yeah, like fiberglass. Look for fiberglass. There's 3/4 ounce fiberglass.
Used to be able to get that from Dave Brown.
Is it 3K 2x2 twill, 3K 2x2, plain weave ultralight. Let's go plain weave ultralight. Let's just look at that now.
I'll be back, you guys. I'm gonna get something to drink.
All right.
It's not cheap. Oh yeah. That's 1K fabric specifications. 42 inches wide. Warp is 1K PSI. Tensile strength. Documents. Product data sheet.
I'm laughing because I know exactly what you're looking at. And guess what? I don't use it anymore.
3.5 ounce. Okay.
Last time I used something like that 1K was my first fuselage, and it was so porous. By the time I filled it in, it was just double the weight of it, what it was there. Yeah. Yeah. So what's they say per square yard?
It's 3.5 ounces per square yard, 42 inches wide.
Yeah, 3.5 ounces.
Look at the thickness there.
We're looking at
93 grams. Yeah, that's the 93 grams light carbon fiber. However, that weave over there, because of the weight, it kind of goes up and down like this, and because of the weight of any fabric, and it doesn't have a whole lot of strength by itself, right? What I'm proposing is less expensive than that. You get more material and it's better because the spread toe, that I showed you earlier, it has all the strands in one direction and they're nice and straight, no weaving and up and down. And carbon fiber has very good strength in one direction. So whichever direction the fiber goes, that's the direction in which you get your strength. If you want strength in multiple directions, then you have to lay the fiber in those directions. That's the trick to it.
Yeah, it makes sense.
That's why Vail doesn't have any strength, because it just goes in all directions. and it has no continuous fibers anywhere.
Hey, Charles,
Yeah.
I saw you posted for a trainer handle setup the
Oh,
other
thanks.
day,
Yeah.
and you got a lot of good answers. A lot of them were using it, but remember you mentioned it, and I talked to you about you make up a harness and you use two handles.
Yeah.
Remember, you
Yeah.
know, you get two like lead out wires, and two of them about 8 inches and two of them about 16 inches.
All
And
right.
okay, you put rings on both, or not rings, but eyelets on both ends. You clip them together. You clip the two you clip them to your flight lines, and the short ones go to the student's handle. The longer ones go to the instructor's handle. Now you're out there flying, and all you have to do to make sure he's got it is just take the pressure off of your handle as the instructor. So you
Right.
just push your handle forward a little bit, takes it, puts all of it on his handle. But if he gets in trouble, you just pull back a little bit. Now you've taken it away from him, and
Right.
you correct it, and then ease back off, and he's got it again. You can do it so smooth that half the time they don't know you did it.
Wow. Okay. So now I understand a little bit more. So it's actually I can take my regular handles with the regular lead outs on the handles and
Yeah,
just make little short sections of
yeah,
flying wire and just um,
yeah.
one steppy
The
16 inches, one steppy 8 inches, right?
Yeah, the students is half the length of the instructors. So you're looking at 8 inches and 16 inches, as an example.
Now, when
Right.
you pull that tight, John, does that run them lines across the student's hands?
No, no, because you're out here, you pull it out here. That's why you got that for the student, because it just kind of acts like a doorway. It just you're not pulling straight back across the guy's hands. You're pulling, you're pulling, you're behind him here. He's up here. You pull out like this. It just opens, swings it that way. Just takes the pressure off, so he no longer has control. It works. It works quicker than snot.
Okay, I'm gonna do that because the guy that I'm teaching to fly, he actually made a handle. Um, but the only challenge I had with it was um, how would I say this? You can't see what I'm talking about. But anyways, it just had a unusual feel to it, and I was uncomfortable with the way it felt.
Right.
We really didn't
Well,
do much flying together with the one he made, but I
right.
appreciate
Well,
his effort.
I have used most of the systems that the guys talked to you about.
Okay.
You know, and I've done it with a handle with a bar in it and put my hand on the bar, and that works. Except now you're really uptight on the guy, and you're crowding each other.
Yeah.
And it's uncomfortable. You got to keep up with him a lot closer as he turns. Uh, a double handle, the same kind of thing. You just move your hands a little bit apart, but a double handle usually has two handles side by side. You know, and it works, but it doesn't work as slick as this cable setup.
Yeah, double handle is not a good idea because you have to overcome their strength,
Yes. That's
right?
Exactly.
Yeah, this way you just take over by just pulling back a little bit and you're done. Now, let me ask you a question. Instead of using wires, some kind of wires in there, why don't you use some Kevlar?
Well, because I,
Kevlar
I
thread.
got introduced to this before Kevlar was available, or
Uh-huh.
spider wire, or any of these kind of things. You could
Uh-huh.
use those. There's no doubt you could use those.
Yeah.
I just back when I first did it, was first learning about it, we
Uh-huh.
used the wire.
Yeah, no, that's cool.
Now,
Yeah.
are you trying to teach these people to do loops and the pattern and all this with that other handle?
um.
Or just straight and level?
Well, the guy that I know this might sound crazy because this is new to me, but I actually taught the guy how to fly. I actually was actually had my hand on the bar, Now he's right-handed, I'm right-handed, so I started flying left-handed with my hand on the bar, and I eventually found that he can control it. I let go, and now he's flying. He's taking off and landing excellent. Okay, and I think it was Tryen's suggestion was that the next thing is to teach the guy to fly inverted. So we're trying to navigate to that part. And the
Mm-hmm.
problem is turning the plane upside down.
Mm-hmm.
Um, last time we tried it, when I had my hand on the bar, of course, when the plane's going down, he's trying to give it up, and I'm fighting him to give it
Yeah.
down. And fortunately, I was stronger than he was, so I saved the plane. But I'm
Uh-huh.
fighting his natural inclination to give the plane up, right? Because the plane's upside down.
Uh-huh.
Well,
Yeah.
see, that cable setup or cable, or whatever you use to make the harness works fine. You can teach them the whole pattern with it because it's not winding up on that little short pieces of wire or Kevlar you got between the two handles. That's all twisted up on the lines like it normally does. So you can yeah. The thing of it is, it's so slick when you take control, you just pull back, pull it towards you, take
I
the
can't
slack.
wait to try that, John. I'm so excited. I'm not kidding. I think that is going to be genius. I think it's going to be, like you said, it's going to
Charles.
be easy to
Yeah.
transition.
If,
Easy.
what my advice would be before you teach anybody to do anything new for them, do like everybody does in the real world. There is a ground school,
Yep.
Right,
right? Okay. And let's say you want to teach them a loop, okay? So said we're gonna make a loop, but we're not gonna make a real loop, round loop. We're gonna make a letter E loop, right? And I say we're gonna give it up, hold it over there, wait until it comes on the top, then we're gonna give it even a little bit more extra after that, pull it in tighter, and exit, right?
right,
So they are prepared before they even do it. It's okay. And as they do it, as you help them, talk them through. Up, hold, wait for it to come on top.
right,
Hold up, hold up, hold up. Increase a little bit more extra up over there. Boom,
right,
back to neutral. Talk them through, right? And even do that. Make them practice this dry, no plane, nothing on the ground,
right.
right?
Yeah,
Yep.
And
that's a great idea, Tryon.
Agree 100%.
and then when they go over there on the flying line and you have the plane at the end of the lines, they are prepared. They know and they know what to do. And I say, if you feel like you're in trouble, give it a lot more up. Flip the plane over, bail out. Okay, so they have their what to do and their bailout procedure, right? Kind
Good
of
Let me
thing.
tell
idea.
you, let me tell you an easy one that worked for teaching me, and I'm about as hard headed as anybody. When
No.
when Tom was trying to teach me to fly inverted, because I tore up several airplanes. I tore up the same airplane about 6 times. Anyway, he taught me top and bottom. And look at the plane. Which way do you want to go up? Do you want the top of that airplane to go up? Pull this line. If it's upside down, you want the bottom of the airplane to go up. You pull it this way, and it goes up. So
Yeah.
he burned it into my head, top and bottom, and I still,
Yeah.
when I'm inverted, that's what I think of, top and bottom, and
But
it works.
I think that's an even easier way. If you
Okay,
go towards, if you push up, you go towards the canopy. If you go down, you go towards the wheels.
yeah,
Up towards the canopy, down towards the wheels. Up towards the canopy, down towards the wheels. When you're
I would do
inverted,
the
the
same
wheels are
thing.
up. Right? You want to go towards the wheels, go down towards the wheels.
I'd do the same thing. Yeah,
Yeah.
Yeah.
I just when I learned it, it was because the reason they taught it the way they taught it is because he knew I was learning that in a real plane. And he
Yeah.
says it won't confuse you. You can do because when we was upside down in a real plane, they'd say you want to go toward the sky, you want to give it to the bottom, so we want to push forward because that's flying a
Oh,
stick
I get
plane.
it. Yeah. Yeah. I'm
So,
thinking control line right now.
oh well, I am too. But Tom had to. I told you I'm stubborn. They had to relate it to me in something I could understand. I was trying to learn
Exactly.
too
Yeah.
many.
No, that's great, and that's a great idea. So maybe Charles, you want to take that into consideration.
Yeah,
Is he a real?
I think that's a great idea.
I
Yeah,
had to.
just think about like, is he a real life pilot? Then you apply, Phillips' idea,
Right.
The
Yeah,
thing,
he's not a real life pilot, but it's still
Charles,
good.
Well,
Charles,
I tell you what, after you bust up about the sixth plane, it gets pretty real to me.
Yeah. Well, I'm
Charles, you
I
got
told this guy that he's gonna learn to fly, and my expectation is that I'm gonna keep him from crashing, and he's not gonna crash, and he hasn't crashed since we started. I mean, as far as when I'm actually out there in the center with him, we have not crashed. We have crashed
Wow,
on, but that's
that's
something.
impressive. What you got, Big John?
Charles.
What is he flying, Charles?
Charles, two things that you can take from this training's idea of ground school before you do anything new.
Yeah.
Ground school, important. The other thing is that handle harness, using two different handles at the offset net. You'll be surprised at how slick it works. Okay, those two things will really help you, and it takes a special person, I believe, to get out there in the circle and teach somebody how to fly.
Yeah. And you guys, we have to teach people to fly if we're gonna save this
Keep
hobby.
this alive. Yeah,
I mean,
that's
we
true.
really, this is not something we can or should do. We absolutely have to do this.
Exactly.
It's mandated. I mean, I don't know if you guys feel like I do, but I don't want this hobby to go away after I go away. I want it to continue on, and so we
Yeah.
got to train people.
I agree with you, but
I'll tell you what, I had from the time Samantha started flying control line, she did 2 flights at an RC field, and we came home and we started flying in the backyard. So we flew one day in the backyard. The next day in the backyard, she could fly inverted. Because I did 1 flight level one way, then I launched the plane upside down.
I know you told me that, and
And
awesome.
what it was is that she got so used to flying upside down and right side up, it didn't matter. She learned both of them. Before she learned to loop anything else, she could fly inverted. And I mean, guys were saying, okay, now we'll do lazy 8 so you can fly inverted. I mean, it was so easy for her. She never did a lazy 8. She just did a half a loop, then came in and started, and everybody's like, oh my God. And I said, the second day she started flying, I taught her how to fly inverted. And we had an airplane, if it went in like Mike's Bladder planes or whatever, or that Golden Bee, and that's what she had on it, was a Golden Bee that had the stunt tank on it. Or no, I take it back, it was a Black Widow with a stunt tank.
oh Lord, faster.
But I just launched her upside down. I mean, we do 1 flight, she flies flat and level, inverted, then she do another one the other way, then back. And when we did inverted, I knew to say, if she was headed to the ground, I would go down, down, and she just got used to, when you go in this direction, she flies one way. When you go the other direction, her brain automatically does it different. And I mean,
How old was she though, Steve?
10.
Yeah, that figures. At 10 years old, your mind still picks it up. If you waited till 20, it would not have been the same story.
It's
My
interesting.
girls.
It's
Go ahead.
interesting, Steve's story there, because if you ever try to fly somebody's airplane that flies clockwise,
Oh, I have.
you got to turn the handle over.
Yeah.
Yeah. Again, I cannot emphasize. Yeah, I cannot emphasize more. Ground school.
Yeah.
Get his mind prepared and working before you even start the first thing.
Yeah, we do that. We do talk a lot
Yeah.
about what to expect.
Yep.
I'll tell you a good one.
It's like it's like before you even do anything on the ground, so I'll go like up, goes towards the canopy, down towards the wheel, up towards the canopy, down towards the wheels, and then it doesn't matter in which orientation the plane is, and if you take just a little bit of time, it take 1 second, so like 23, 24, take a split second, decide in which direction you want to go, then go in that direction, commit to it and go. Right?
Good idea.
You want to go towards the wheels, down towards the wheels. You want to go towards the canopy, up towards the canopy. So then when he's inverted, it goes like, okay, my wheels are over there. Okay, I want to go down towards the wheels. And even before you start the first, the first inverted flight, okay, we're going to try to do inverted flight right now. This is what we're going to do. Step by step. We're going to do half a loop. How do we do our loops? up and hold, wait for it to get on the top. But instead of increasing pressure, you bring it back to neutral, right?
Right.
And because he's got so much height over there, then it's like, remember, if you're in trouble, the wheels are over there, you go down towards the wheels if you get in trouble.
But I still think right off the bat with anybody, if you teach them, if they're going to learn to fly straight level, have them learn to fly straight level both ways. Because what it is that I see everybody training people. First they do level flight, then they'll try to do a partial wing over stuff, and then a loop or an E or whatever you want to call it. They do all the up handle stuff, and now when they got all that, start downhand.
The problem, Steve, is if you spend a whole lot of time like that, if you stay a whole 1 year, 2 years just in flying normal flight and inside maneuvers, then going inverted is terrifying. But
right, that's why I said.
That's
Right,
what,
I'm thinking about takeoff. Yeah, I'm thinking
there.
Live streaming is on.
So my buddy, within a week, he said, "Okay, now we're going to fly inverted." Well, I couldn't fly worth a shit. I'm still worried about takeoff and landing. But he said, "No," he goes, "We have to have you fly inverted so that your down becomes as comfortable as up." He goes, "Because when you're doing a maneuver, if I only teach you up, then you go up in a loop. Well, what if you make it too tight? How do you fix that? You can't fix it because you don't know down."
Yeah,
that's right.
You just,
Well, I like your idea. I like the way it works.
to where you just pull up and it does what it does. You're not. He goes, "You're not flying the airplane," and he goes, "That's why people have a hard time landing because when they take off, you usually go up and then let off. But when you land, you may have to put down in it to get it down to the field or whatever." And he goes, "No one knows how to use down. They only know how to use up, and then they wonder why they can't land, why their loops look bad, why this,
If you have to add down input when you're landing, you're doing something wrong.
I like to use the concept and get them to doing lazy eights as soon as you can, because all you have to do is extend the lazy eight.
Yeah, that makes
sense. It further and further, and they're learning a reaction real quick. Come towards the ground, they give it down to come back around. Okay, so they begin to learn without even have to think about it hard. That you get out of it by giving it down. You go into it by giving it up, and you extend it and go around. Pretty soon they're going full laps before they bring it up. Soon they'll fly. They might fly the whole flight inverted. But what really teaches you is when you run out of gas when you're inverted.
Learn how to what?
Run out of fuel when you're inverted.
Oh yeah.
So when I land my plane or any plane for that matter, my technique is put the fuselage horizontal, let the plane glide in.
Right.
Yeah. Okay. So establish a glide path and let the plane glide in. That's all you do. Yeah. And as you're getting closer and closer to the ground, you add a tiny bit of up elevator. You add and hold. Slow down the descent. Add and hold. Slow down the descent. You constantly adding and holding, adding and holding, adding and holding, a tiny bit at a time, very small. And that's what's critical. Plane always goes down, never up. And that's what I did with my boy. When he was learning how to land, I said, I was just right there next to him. And I said, always down, always down, always down, always down, always down. Keep it coming down, keep it coming down, never up.
Right.
And that's what he did all the time. And just he would soften the descent right at the very back. And even though it was his first few flights, his landings are beautiful.
Yeah.
So if you're landing and you give it up and you're ballooning, you're crashing that plane. So easy.
Samantha flies her airplane. She flies her airplane to the ground.
Yeah.
There is an exception. You're up doing your overhead eights and your motor quits while you're on the overhead 8. You
Oh,
got to
brother.
give it down to get it close down to keep your speed up, or that plane's going to fall on you.
Down or up doesn't matter at that point.
And so
Depends where you are at. You know, I really.
Yeah.
If you're up there, up and down, it's really no
I
different.
didn't say right there. I said you're in your 8. If you're 45, 60 degrees up there coming around and it quits, you've got speed and you've got flight. You could put down in it and get to the speed, keep it out there and bring it down.
Yeah.
The thing is, you have to learn. And if you go to flying any other like team race or rat race, not rat racing so much, but Goldberg racing or things like that, you gotta give it down to get you hit it like that, then you got to get it down to get it in there because you got to spot land it. You want to land a set distance ahead of your pit man so he can catch it. Things like that. But that's further on in the game. We're talking about the rank beginner that you're training right now.
Yeah, if you're training, I mean, actually, even if you're training for competition or something like that, you just always do the same thing, right?
Right.
Now, the biggest thing I have is like, where's the best spot to touch down? Downwind or maybe a little bit upwind? Because ideally you want to touch down downwind, but what if you're coming too hot?
Well, listen, if I can't land where I want, I'll whip it around, bring it in. I like to have a little downwind so I could settle it in. You get to not downwind, tailwind. You get downwind if you misjudge your speed. All of a sudden you're going into the wind, and now you're going to be rising. You're going to be floating. You're going to be and you'll lose lots of points on your landing if you're doing competition flight.
Yeah, no kidding.
But
absolutely.
One thing is that in a couple of the Nats, I mean, Brett Buck and shit, they were giving David Fitzgerald crap because Samantha was out landing him.
I've seen Samantha land. She is very good at it.
But she can, she flies. She says she flies the airplane to the ground. And if you watch when she lands on the main wheels, rolls it out, and then the tail will drop. You never see her do a 3-point landing. Like most of these people, they do a 3-point landing and their airplane comes back off the ground because
it bounces right back up.
You have your wings already, in the attitude to take off. But she can roll out her damn airplane on the main wheels for a half a circle before the tail touches down.
Nice.
Big Admission. I went to one of his seminars when I was years and years and years ago, and he made the comment. He says, "There's in the pattern in competition, there are 2 maneuvers that you must do. You have to do it on every flight, whether you get the whole flight in or not. You will do those. You'll do takeoff and landing.
Yeah,
they're the easiest maneuvers once you practice for it." And what you should be able to get with a little practice close to 40 points for both those maneuvers. That's a big help in your pattern. But he said,
but you'd be surprised how many contests you go to, and the guys just give up their takeoff and yank it off the ground.
Yep, exactly.
Or they give up the landing and slam it in or bounce it.
Exactly.
If it's grass, it depends on whether it's grass or asphalt. If it's asphalt, that's a heck of a lot easier. If it's grass, you just basically want to get that airplane in the air unless you want to do you want to mow the grass.
What I've learned in going to East Coast contests is there's 3 kinds of grass. You got grass like we got around here, and if it's 2 inches tall, I can take off with my plane like it's on asphalt.
Yep.
You go to Georgia, and that grass is so dadgum thick, you just yank the plane off the ground and pray for the best. You pray it's not going to. The landing gear is not still stuck back in the grass.
That's like Florida.
And then you get down in Florida, and in Florida they got grass that's in knots. And I've had the guy let the plane go, and the plane didn't go anywhere. It didn't move.
Whoa!
And I'm sitting there. This is a Tiger 60 airplane, and it didn't move.
Wow, that's scary.
That was weird.
You ever look at that grass in Florida? It's like we used to call it Bermuda grass.
Yeah, that's what it is in Florida, but
Yep.
it grows in knots. It's just
Yeah.
all together.
Can't
I
kill
couldn't
it
believe it.
scream all the time, but man, oh man.
I looked at that thing, and the guy launched it and got up and walked away. I said, "Get the airplane already!" And everybody's just laughing because it ain't going nowhere. He says, so I said, "Just shut it off. Just shut it off." Because at this point, I'm so frustrated. I don't know what's going on.
Yeah.
So we went, and I was a traffic signal tech at the time. I went out and we went to lunch, and I saw a traffic signal truck from Florida. And I went up and introduced myself and showed him my credentials. And I said, "Could I borrow about 5 of those old signs, and I'll bring them back to you later?" He said, "We're just going to throw them away. You can have them." So I took them out there, and we made a runway. And the rest of the day, we used that runway. Just about everybody did.
Wow.
But I have never seen grass like they had in Florida. That stuff is thick.
And then you have to land in it. How do you do a smooth landing on that?
Yeah, you just kind of come in and keep it up as long as you can, because when it touches down, it just says thump and it's done.
Yeah, that's where you got to learn to do the 3-point landing.
Yeah, sailplanes were fun. I went down there with Walt Good was down there one time at a contest we were at, and I came in for landing, and he was timing me, and he says, "You better take it easy. You better take it easy." I said, "What's the matter, Walt?" He says, "You want to stall that plane on the ground, because if you hit and skip like you did the first time, you were lucky once. The next time it'll hit and stop." And I started to say, "Oh no," and I thought, "No, this is Walt Good. I'll do what he said." So I brought the plane up and stalled it, and it just fell on the frisbee that it was a 100-point landing point. But I got to looking and watching other guys, because I usually don't watch the competition too much. I watched the competition. A lot of those guys were thinking they were going to land like they do up here and just kind of skip the ground, and that stops the clock, and then you bring it over and make a 100-point landing. When they'd skip it, it didn't skip. It stuck. That was it.
Like they were landing on strips of tape, huh?
Yeah, it did. It really did, Trey. It stuck like Velcro.
I went practicing about a week ago or so, and the grass was so tall. I mean, you thought the grass was tall at the contest. Think about grass is double that at least. And my ground clearance, which is no ground clearance on my plane. I mean, it's just like after a few flights over there, you could see like it's just a little trough being formed.
You had a lot of greening on your airplane?
Yeah, I was cutting the grass as I was taking off.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's anytime I do takeoff on grass or something like that, I'm full up elevator, hold it there.
Yeah.
And I wait for the plane to start to gain a little bit of momentum before I bring it back to neutral.
Yeah. Let me tell you something, guys. Trayan can run, because I saw him run 3/4 of a lap trying to catch Tom Looper's airplane, and he's going to try to get it in the air. So Tom says, "Just throw it, just throw it." But the thing had so much grass on the bottom of it, Tom said it wouldn't fly. God, that was a fun weekend, though. I didn't get to stick around for the whole weekend, but Saturday was a lot of fun. But
yeah, I think his helper didn't hear him, didn't understand.
Well, I'm usually Tommy's helper, and I was having such ear problems. I said, "Tommy, if I try to launch you, I'm liable to stand up and fall on your airplane. So I'm gonna pass. I'm sorry, but I'm gonna pass."
Right.
And I don't think I've ever done that before. I don't think I've ever been at a contest and not launched for Tommy and Larry and Terry and the whole group down here.
Mm-hmm.
I'm usually the designated launcher and retriever, but anyway, I don't know. We got a good group, but boy, I had never seen grass like that. That was something. That stuff was thick, and the bottom of the airplane, it looked like they had mowed the grass and cleaned it up. You didn't see a lot of loose grass. But but the airplanes that were low, when they land, the whole bottom of the wing was green.
Yeah.
Wow.
You mean like my plane?
Yeah, it was weird.
Yeah.
It was very weird.
Man, I nailed some takeoffs on that contest. Oh boy, I got like 30, 36, 37 of my takeoffs on that contest.
That's good.
Yeah. There were 2 airplanes that took off well down there that I saw. Your plane and what's his name? I know him as good. Oh shoot! This is embarrassing. The Cavalier, John Simpson.
Uh-huh.
And I asked John, "What are you doing to take off so well?" He says, "Oh, those big wheel pants act like skis."
Big wheels, the big wheel pads.
Yeah, he had an Air Tiger. He's got an Air Tiger 36 in that thing, and a 3-blade volley prop, 4-pitch. And when he lets it go, it doesn't take off. It just that was it. They let go and it just disappeared. It's just gone.
Well,
Yeah.
take off usually when the field is if it's of any quality, right?
Yeah.
I just close my eyes. I put my handle in the neutral position. You just hold it there. I don't put up at all.
Well, that plane of yours, that thing does take off pretty, and it lands pretty. Even that guy that didn't know the plane landed it pretty. So that was interesting. That was sick that I could fly. Train offered me a chance to fly the plane that I've been crazy about for 2 years, and I was too woozy to fly the thing.
That's too bad. That's awful.
That made me sicker than I already was. I'll tell you one thing. Offer me a chance at that thing again, but if I'm halfway healthy, I'm going to take it.
Are you coming in Florida?
Do what?
You going to King Orange?
No, I wish, but I'm not going to get to. We're trying to get a house ready to sell, and I am hemorrhaging $100 bills right now.
Oh, okay.
I think I'm going to have to stay home for this one.
Just a few $100 bills?
Oh, no, not just a few, brother.
What do you got? An income property?
You got a what?
You got an income property?
No, I got a property I want to sell. Howdy. No, this is one we've had for a while, and it's just become more of a burden than I can handle. So no more rental, no more nothing. This thing, we're going to revamp it, and get it going. They always talk about flipping houses is so easy, and rental property is the answer to the 2000s and baloney. Don't believe that crap. Don't believe all that crap. There are people who can make a living doing that.
Are good if you need a lot of write-offs.
Yeah.
And that is.
But see, I'm retired. I don't make enough anymore to need a lot of write-offs.
Right. But that's where it comes into when you can write that stuff off. But yeah, if you're doing it for income property, there is no income in it.
No, it's just a lot of aggravation.
Yeah, and then you're hoping that the market goes up and you make money when you sell it, but you don't make any money off it when you rent it.
No, it's been more of a nightmare than I want to think about. It's got to go. One of us is leaving, and I hope it's the house first, but I'm not making any promises.
I got out of income property, I don't know, back in the, I guess it'd be the 80s.
No, you were smarter than me.
It was bad. I mean, we had one renter that paid for a whole year, no problem. He lost his job, and we gave him breaks, and it's like, finally when he got 3 months late, we said, you got to go. He tore every door off of the cabinets.
Oh, wow.
And beat holes and all. We had to re-drywall the whole house. And
you couldn't sue him for that?
Yeah, well, you can't. How do you get money out of somebody who don't have a job?
Yeah, true.
It doesn't matter. You have a lawsuit, and they give you eventually they're going to have to pay you. They're going to get a job sooner or later.
What it was is that we go to court and we get a judgment against him, and they would take out $30 out of his paycheck. And I mean, he owed thousands. It was like $8,000 worth of damage or whatever. And we did the work ourselves. So we get $30. He quit his job. He get another job. We go to court. Cost us another $250. They guarantee his wages. We get $30.
Yeah.
After the third time of getting $120 for spending $750, it's like, Jesus Christ, this isn't. We're never going to get our money back.
Yeah, you're going backwards.
Yeah, I mean,
absolutely.
It wasn't like when they had when they did it, they're like, okay, you owe $8,000, you got to give them $8,000. You didn't make money until they took $30 a week out of it.
Let me interrupt, Steve. I want to get back to model airplanes. I'm sorry. Hey, Peter.
Yeah.
You was trying to show us something earlier, but time was in the conversation, and you sold it. And I'm curious what you're trying to show us.
I wasn't really trying to show you, but what I was doing here is I was going to run an experiment, and we were talking about carbon veil before. This is carbon veil here,
Right.
and it provides no advantages. So I figured, all right, let me take a couple of scrap balsas that I have here, which is what 1/16 inch scrap balsa. It's just scrap balsa from the
Okay.
from the Saginaw kit, and I took the same thing here, 1/16 scrap balsa. With one, I turned around and I just sandwiched in this carbon fiber veil between the two
Right.
16-inch sheets. And on this one, I didn't do anything. So I just
Okay.
basically took some fat, ultra thin CA, and I sandwiched them together. And I figured, okay, let's see what happens if I try to,
Yeah. Broke.
stress that like that. And if I turn around and I try to stress this,
Wow. Yeah, that's pretty
ah,
significant.
there we go. Finally,
Yeah,
I
a
got
lot
it.
harder.
Yeah. And then if I go that way, of course, we can snap it that way. That's already done. But that breaks a lot easier than if I
Well,
did
but
not have.
it's the, in essence you have a sheet of paper in between them over there, so that's why you get a little bit of extra strength.
No,
And now some of those
it's not a
strands,
little.
Peter, some
It's
of
not
those
a little
strands
because
go
you
across.
see where the grain is here, the way the grain is running.
It's
I
everywhere.
mean,
Yeah, but some of
really,
that grain is going
it's a lot.
across.
Hmm. I see what
It
he's
does
saying.
help. It does help with the grain, but is that where you want the strength?
Well, for the simple reason, what I'm saying is now this is basically 1/16 inch thick. You can't even really count the carbon veil that's in between it because it doesn't add any thickness. But if you're like, let's say you're doing your fuselage sides up in front, or you're doing fuselage sides, and your traditional fuselage sides, you have, let's say, a 1/8 inch or 3/16 inch balsa laminated to again another 3/16 inch plywood, or a plywood doubler. At that point, it's like how much weight and how much is that how much you're giving it. So now you have 3/16. You have a pretty thick front end, where if you turned around, you took 2/1/8, just two, a balsa wood doubler of 1/8 inch, and your fuselage side by 1/8 inch. You can put the carbon fiber veil between it, and pretty much you realize the same strength as if you would have like took that 1/8 inch balsa and laminated it to a 3/16 or
Yeah, you can do the same thing with silk span though for a lot cheaper.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I
I mean,
don't know. I've not tried it with silk span between here, but this is
try it.
carbon
It's gonna
fiber.
be probably the same as the carbon.
Yeah.
Try it. It's gonna be the same. Peter, try it. So it's gonna be the same as the carbon. But now, if you put some of this spread tool I have here between them, you won't be able to break it.
Tell you what though,
Not
if you'll
like that.
take, like the guys are saying, if you're going to mold something, you're going to mold a cowling, or you want to do a fuselage side, anything. A lot of times, if I'm building a fuselage side, instead of making them straight, I'll put an 1/8 of an inch of curve in it so that it's a little curve in it.
Right.
Just it don't take much, just 1/8 of an inch. You'd be amazed how much stronger that is.
Yep.
But I kept looking at the Cobra. That's what I was building, and it says use 3/16 balsa and then sand it. Where you come out with two pieces of 3/16, and you sand it at the top, and you sand it at the bottom. All right, now you got basically an egg shape.
Right.
I mean, it comes to a point at the top and all, but it's basically an egg, but it's a lot stronger. So rather than doing all this carving and sanding and using a good piece of 3/16, which I don't have that much of, I said I'd take a piece of 1/8 and just cut my formers a little bit, come up with the same shape. I wonder if that'll work. So I built it with the warp fuselage sides, and it works. Bill Werbage's P-47, same deal. Build it with a warp fuselage side, and it works. If you look at Al Raby's early Bearcats, the Bearcat 2, the one that Brodout kitted, that thing's got flat sides, and it looks like something don't look right about that airplane. Well, the Bearcat 3 that he placed second in the Nationals to, and would have won had he not bounced a landing, it's got curved fuselage sides. So all this stuff played together, and I said, well, let's try this. So I was building my new airplane, the Ombre, and I wanted to curve the fuselage sides on that, but the darn thing kept warping so bad before I figured out what was wrong. The curved fuselage sides will make the plane stronger. You can get the wood is actually stronger in a curve than it is straight up and down. If you're going to mold something, though, if you will take that mold, it's a nice curve, and you go to put the balsa on it. Wet the molds. Everybody will tell you to do it. It all came out in the magazine years ago to do it in ammonia water. You don't need that.
No.
You don't need that. Just put it in water and let it soak 3 or 4 hours. Put just enough weight on it to where you keep that balsa underwater, and just plain tap water, no additives, nothing. When you get ready to mold it, take those 2 pieces of 1/16 out, and you take Elmer's glue, white glue, school glue. Put a dab about every 1/8 of an inch, just a little dab in the whole length of the thing. Tom Morris showed me this, and we molded the top blocks to my Crossfire. And he just put it down there like that and dabbed it. And I've done it since and put like you're saying, a piece of tissue, plain, lightweight tissue in between them. And since everything is wet, that glue will migrate from one piece of wood through the tissue to the other piece of wood. And you talk about strong, that puppy's strong when you get done with it. And it's an 1/8 of an inch thick. It's to the shape of your mold. It's 1/8 inch thick. And it's strong. I mean, it's twisting strength, any kind of way you want to move it. It's pretty tough. And everybody's wanting stronger and lighter. Molding is the answer.
Pete, why stop over there?
Just one thing is the carbon fiber veil is thinner and lighter than tissue. The carbon fiber veil comes in at 2/10 of an ounce per square yard, and it's 0.0021 thick.
Peter, I agree with you. I agree with you to a point. I agree with you to a point, and I used carbon. I used carbon on mine, but I'm just saying I have done some with just tissue here lately, and I can't tell a heck of a lot of difference.
Yeah, you can use Jap tissue that's even lighter, and you can buy
if you can find it
silk span in different thicknesses. I mean,
Philip.
Yes, sir.
Okay, Philip. This is what I have to say about that. That's exactly what I do when I mold my shells. I have
3 yards cost me $14. 3 yards cost me $14. You think I'm just going to try hunting down tissue? 3 yards at 42 inches wide for $14? I mean,
Well, that's true.
All right. So what I want to say is that's exactly what I used when I made my my molded fuselage shells. And the same technique when I used when I was building wood planes, I would do the top block, the bottom block, the nose shape, and even some of the cowls were done the same way. And here are a couple more tricks if you want to use them.
Okay.
When I did mine, I put a little bit of water in a bathtub, and I just drop them in there. I just leave them in the bathtub, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then what you do, you take one sheet and just take it and stick it to the side of the bathtub, right?
Okay.
And take Elmer's wood glue and just smoosh it on top of it.
Yeah.
Right? And then you can take your tissue paper, smoosh it on top of it, and put the second half. And by doing that, you kind of dilute the Elmer's wood glue. It's not a whole lot of glue.
Right.
And you make your sandwich. You just have them stuck on the side of the bathtub, basically.
Right.
And they're going to stay there. And then take this whole thing and just put it in there and then make it. Now, instead of making just the top and the bottom block, make the fuselage sides complete.
That's what I'm doing now and molding them, like I'm saying.
Oh, great. That's awesome, man. And at 1/8 inch, you don't need the formers inside the fuselage. You don't need any of that stuff.
You lost me, Ryan. Back up. So you said for the fuselage side, I'm not sure if I'm following you.
Okay, like I was saying. Like I was saying, you got a fuselage side. Say it's 4 inches tall.
Right.
I know that's a big one, but just for example, say it's 4 inches tall.
Okay.
Put at least 1/8 of an inch of bow in it. You do that by just taking knock a 16 off down here and a 16th off up here, and then take you something elliptical, some kind of shape, and draw an ellipse in it, a C, if you will, just so the side of that fuselage is like that instead of straight.
Okay.
An egg for its weight is the strongest shape on Earth.
Right.
Okay, well, it's because it's elliptical.
Okay.
Cut that shape in your former. Or I use a mold. I'm now using a mold. But I molded my fuselage side over the mold and taped it down with ace bandages and got the whole side done that way. When I went to put the thing together, I've had the god awfulest time with stuff warping in my basement, and I couldn't figure out why. Well, I finally found the problem. When the furnace people put the furnace in, they didn't hook the vent up correctly, and the thing would try to vent the moisture out into the furnace, out into the basement. So the basement was staying down.
Okay.
I couldn't figure out what the heck was going on. But for the last year, since we've had this furnace, until a month ago, everything I did a Cobra, and that spar, it started out just straight as an arrow, and it ended up looking like this. I mean, it was awful. So I got tired of chasing my tail, and I said, one of the guys came in and says, "Can't you smell that?" I said, "I can't smell anything. I don't smell. If I smell it, you will run for cover. Trust me. Anything this side of a skunk, I can't smell." So anyway, we got it fixed, and now I can do stuff. But now I've learned the trick of molding my sides like this. So I molded this thing up and set it out and set it on the table and let it sit for a month. I gave it every chance to warp. I went down there and checked it last night. That thing's straight as an arrow.
Yep.
I'm going to have a nice ombre, brother. I'm going to have a real nice ombre 35. Now, my ombre 60, the tune pipe plane is still straight sides. But when I get the N30 plane together, the 1974 version of the ombre, that's going to be a pretty light, and the fuselage is light. Holy smoke. It's light. You go molding, you can't believe how light this stuff turns out.
And if you make it
there.
Yeah, and if you make it electric on top of it, you don't need any doublers, you don't need any extra reinforcements.
Yeah, and you can take the plywood up front. Instead of using 16th inch plywood, you can take it down to 64th and got more than enough. So
yeah,
it probably
you know what I did on mine? You know what I did on mine? I had like the two halves of the fuselage, the separate halves, right?
Yeah.
And on the bottom of them, I had a plate of MDF.
Yeah.
So they're basically the two halves of the fuselage are sitting on the top of the MDF. So you have a little bit of extra material that you wrap it around with ace band-aids and stuff like that.
Right.
And what you do, you take a piece of MDF, a little piece of one, and glue a razor blade on top of it. And as you walk it around, you have a perfect parting line.
Yeah. Yeah.
All the way around.
That's the way you do molded sides for like a Bearcat or anything like that. That razor blade trick is a real trick. That works on a lot of stuff.
That's an old trick. It used by carpenters for years.
Yeah, but it works. It works.
Yes, it does.
Most everything I've learned about modeling relates to something else. I mean, our lines, our wires, our braided lines. It's all fishing leader. Our line clips, there's fishing hardware.
Yeah.
The thing I used to straighten my line out, it's from fishing. It's to straighten out metal leaders for shark fishermen.
Yeah, I bought one of those. I haven't used it yet, but
You'll like it. Just remember one thing: when you use it, you get somebody to hold that end. You hold this end, and you sit here and you just work it for a minute, and you keep running that thing. You're turning it as you're doing it, and what you're trying to do. Don't go so many times that you get the line hot, and it will get hot. If you get it hot, throw them away; they'll break.
Oh, thanks for that tip.
Run about 4 or 5 times, and keep turning it, and then go to the other line. And if you have to come back to this one, come back to it. But don't sit there for 2 or 3 minutes running it back and forth, because if you do, it's going to break.
Okay,
get too hot and break.
Right out of it. Yeah.
Hey, Peter, I just looked on Brodak, covering tissue, 2 pieces of 20 by 30, $2.79.
I don't think he's got his.
Well, I always, I thought that the carbon veil was the way to go too.
No, I mean, you can, sure.
I used it on everything.
That's what you can afford.
my BBQB is covered in carbon veil, but now I'm hesitant to finish the darn thing because everybody I know that's finished one in the last 2 or 3 years in carbon veil, the darn stuff has bubbled and let go, and the finish looks awful. That's an
Yeah,
awful
yeah.
expensive, awful big, awful expensive airplane to go putting that much time and trouble in, and then have it look like Who Shot John.
I mean,
That's
I'll
just
tell you what.
Bob Hunt's the plane that Bob Hunt flew in the last competition that was in New York, and that was basically that was foam wing covered in carbon veil.
I know, but let me tell you a little secret. I think the world of Bobby Hunt. That man's got an awful lot of experience and an awful lot of talent. And don't you believe that you can do everything that Bobby Hunt can do?
Yeah.
But the one thing I found was is that I just took carbon fiber veil
Uh-huh.
and put it when I used it. I put it on the fuselage or whatever, and stuck it down with dope. And then
Steve, you're freezing up,
He
unfortunately.
froze up. Yeah.
Hey, Tryon, can you clarify something for me? When people are covering their planes with carbon veil, there's no structure to it, right? And as
Yeah.
opposed to unidirectional. Now, does unidirectional come in the veil as well, or unidirectional is not carbon fiber veil?
No.
Veil means the carbon strands are very short. They go in all kind of directions at random, right?
And
Right.
it's a lot like tissue.
Yeah, exactly. So it has no grain in no particular direction.
Okay.
But the other carbon can be just as light. I mean, I think no, I don't think you can find carbon that's that light as a veil. Veil is perhaps the lightest form of carbon that you can find. But the veil, because of the way the carbon is inside of it, it's very short strands, go in random directions, stuff like that. It doesn't have a whole lot of. You have some structural. I mean, if you sandwich it between two pieces, yeah, like what happens, what Peter just did when you sandwich the veil in between the two pieces. There are some strands that go in this direction. Not all of them, but some will do that. So when you try to break it like that, they will just put up a little fight. That's what you see what happened over there with Peter. But if you put a piece of paper between them, I bet you get the same result, if not better.
Right.
Okay. That being said, because the carbon fiber strands in veil are the way they are, when you put it on the outside of the wing, the only thing that's going to do is not a strength from stopping the wing from giving more torsional stiffness or stuff like that. The only thing it does is like you don't put your nail through it like this.
Right. Okay.
Like when somebody handles and you put the nail through it,
Right.
it's not going to go through.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah.
and
Like-
it's really
like just
easy to do compound curves with it.
Yeah,
sorry?
it's really.
You
He
know,
said
if
it's. Go ahead. Go ahead, sir.
top of a fuselage or whatever, or coming in to like fillets or whatever. It
Yeah.
worked easy there. The other thing is that my brother broke the top of his speed model, and where it went back to the rudder and stuff, and we tacked it together, and then we used little pieces of carbon fiber veil and some epoxy, and strengthened the fillets in there and stuff and it came out beautiful, and it hasn't broke since. It has usages, but it's an expensive dent repair. I will say that if you use carbon fiber veil on the side of a fuselage, you won't see any grain. For some reason, that shit covers grain.
It covers grain beautiful.
Yeah, and that part is good, but like I was trying to say is that I put on polyacrylic because every coat of dope you put on carbon fiber veil will float that stuff. It softens it below, and the grain races. And you put more on it, and the grain races. And I mean, it's like I was using 1/2 ounce instead of 0.2 because I knew I was going to sand off at least half of it before I could get enough dope on there that it wouldn't allow that to raise on me. That's why I started using polyacrylic, because dope won't soften that and let the fibers raise.
You use polyacrylic to hold the carbon veil down?
No. Okay, I do my 3 coats of dope and sand it, get everything sanded.
Yeah.
Then I put the veil down with dope and
Okay.
let it dry. The next coat is polyacrylic. That
Oh.
locks all of the fibers together.
Okay.
Then
Well, that's you slick.
then another coat of dope, and then I'll start sanding real careful and not sand through the veil. Because I just found out if you just keep using dope and then sanding, before you know it, you got no veil left. It's all floated to the top and you sanded it off.
Yeah, I've noticed that on my ombre wing. It's real thin in places.
Yeah, because it floats that stuff. And that's why people, they say, oh, the finish goes after a while and stuff. It lifts. But that's why I always lock it down with polyacrylic.
All right, I'll try that.
I'll try that. I'll give that a shot.
The dope doesn't cut through the polyacrylic.
Yeah.
And I'd say polyacrylic is about as light as dope is.
Oh gosh, yeah. And you don't have to thin it. You can spray it.
Yeah.
Well, you do have to thin it a little bit, but throw some water in it. I mean,
but the only thing I found is that I did elevators and flaps with polyacrylic, and it wore the crap out of it. You better have it really a good dope soaked into the wooden stuff, because polyacrylic and water hits balsa, it does bad stuff to it.
Yeah. Beautiful.
Now I heard on molded stuff it works fine, because it's already molded and it can't warp a mold like it does flat.
Yeah, flat stuff is awful for warps.
Hey, Jim.
That's a great idea. Hey, Jim has arrived along with the black cat.
He's getting ready for Halloween. Got his black cat.
He ain't got his ears on yet. He'll be all right. There you go.
Mike Wonky. Hey, Mike.
That is thin. That is thin. 025. Mike's there. I don't know why he's not answering.
Just listening to us.
I've had my mic turned off. I've been listening.
Oh, okay.
Thanks for showing up, Mike. Appreciate it.
We got a different view of you this week. You put your computer in a different place.
Yeah,
we can see out the door this week.
Too much crap on the place it normally sits that I didn't want to move out of the way. So
man, that's the way my shop is.
Hey, so them lighter platter planes fly better?
Yeah, the foam board ones are definitely better than the Coroplast one. Sure. Yeah.
So they flew them and everything worked out all right. That's cool.
Oh, yeah, we got 3 of them now, and 2 other kids in the neighborhood, plus my daughter, are all flying them.
Oh, that's neat.
Yeah, we're having a good time with them, just messing around in the backyard.
What fuel are you running in them, Mike?
Don't beat me up for this, but it's all I had. I'm running my 40% Nelson 36 fuel in those cockpits.
That's good.
Wow.
35 runs good in them, but yeah, 40%.
Bet they start good.
They did well, and in fairness, I took a rubbing alcohol bottle and I poured some 40% in it, and I dumped a little bit more castor in it just to be safe. But it's what I had on hand. So
yeah, I mean, you're only using what? How much ounce are you using per flight? Like a quarter of an ounce of fuel?
8 cc's or something like that.
Small amount.
Yeah, it's just a little bit. So.
I tell you what, as long as they're having fun, that's what's important. If you run out of sleeving,
they're having a good time with them.
If you run out of sleeving pistons, I'll send you some. Jeez, that's there. As long as the kids are having fun, that's the important part.
Yeah. Well, the one thing is that you can needle them so much better with higher nitro fuel.
Yep.
Yeah.
And you can richen them a little bit, and they'll sit there and run at a little bit of a richer run. You don't got to lean them out and find that sweet spot when you do a lower nitro.
Yeah.
So actually you get better runs with higher nitro, and it doesn't mean the plane has to go any faster.
Well,
I know it does that, and that's go ahead, Mike.
They're Cox engines. I've got 20 of them, so if we burn them up after 30 flights, I'll put another one on. I don't really care.
There you go.
I got a whole bag full of them, so.
Yeah.
Well, that's great, Mike. You're getting these kids to fly and getting your neighbors to fly too. That's awesome. We got to do that to keep this hobby going after we're gone.
I like Sam's electric.
Yeah, we busted that out. We flew. I got 5 batteries for that. We flew. I don't know. We went through them two cycles worth the other day. So we got just enough room to fly something on 52-foot lines in the backyard. And I built him an electric stunner about 1.5 years ago, maybe 2 years ago. I don't know. And he seemed to have lost interest in it a little bit. But now that the neighborhood kids are flying a little bit, he wanted to bust that out so he could show them what a real control line plane looked like. And he's been flying that thing. I had originally had a RC car throttle on it so that he could throttle it, and speed up and slow down and all that. But I took it off and I just put a timer on it, and it's the Brodak Galaxy, not Brodak Galaxy, the Brodak Gladiator electric combat plane setup. That's the system.
Oh, yeah.
And so it's got, I think it's 4 minutes, 4.5 minutes or something like that. It's pretty good, man. I'll get it down here and show it off for those of you that haven't seen it before because it's been a couple years. But yeah, he's actually flying patterns with it in the backyard. Not all the laps, but all the maneuvers because it won't. It only flies 4 minutes, so just one lap between maneuvers. But we're having fun.
All you need.
Yeah. Well, I don't want to do too much of that, getting used to one lap because we got a contest coming up in a couple of weeks, and he'll screw up.
We got out yesterday. Was it yesterday? I think it was Wednesday. We got out. Tom and I got out and got to fly for a couple hours. It kept spitting rain and quitting, and it spit rain and quit. And I had that electric Nobler with me, and I said, "Doggone it! I want to find out if it's going to fly." So I'm going to take a chance and fly it. If it starts raining, I'm liable to be in some kind of trouble. But anyway, it's the one that I was flying last year, and the wind caught it and shoved it into the ground. Everybody said it had already started up on the. I did the second loop of a clover leaf, and it had already started up. It was almost vertical, and the wind caught it and slammed it into the ground. And I'm sitting there, it can't do that from there, but it did it. But I got that plane back together and flew it Wednesday, and it flies well. I'm tickled. But when we put electric system on a plane, we add 20 ounces to that airplane. That's what the system adds, 20 ounces. I said, my goodness, counting the battery now. In all fairness, counting the battery, everything is 20 ounces. I put it all on the scale, and I couldn't believe what it weighed. But anyway,
but if you are also looking at how much an internal combustion, say a 70, 65 or a 70 internal combustion motor weighs, plus the fuel tank, plus the fuel filter, fuel lines, and the fuel inside the tank.
The fuel itself,
kind of same place.
You're probably in the same boat. You're right. But this is just an old Nobler, and it's still got the plywood, the nose of it, and all that crap. Yeah. So it's not anything. It's not anything that was purpose built to be an electric.
That's what hurt.
Yeah, but because if you purpose build it for electric, then it's going to make much lighter fuselage.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. You can lose a lot of weight in the fuselage alone.
Hey, you guys will appreciate this. I just had a small victory. So I'm working on that double star 40 that was in that Cardinal I got from that guy. I got her freed up with the heat gun and some fuel. I fired it off in my hand over here off to the side a while ago.
Nice.
But it only had one muffler screw, and you guys will appreciate this. We all have that pile of screws in the box, right? We all have that.
You had one.
I found one screw that would fit the double star muffler. One metric in there that would work.
Wow.
So don't throw your pieces and parts away. You got to have a little bin with all this.
That has saved me more than once.
Yeah.
You know what I do? I buy those little plastic clear bags. I'm always finding screws and nuts, and I'm always putting them in little bags. I buy a bunch of the little 2x3 bags in my little shop,
I just have a catch-all. I got a catch-all.
Yeah.
If I know it's a 440 or a 632, then it goes in a compartment where I have my 440s and 632s. But if it's like even on crashed airplanes and RC stuff, if I take hardware off, I just save it, and that just saved my ass right there, man. Because now I got a bolt for the muffler.
Yeah.
You're braver than I am. You're braver than I am cranking that hot sucker in your fingers. I'm telling you,
I
mine gets hot.
I was wearing gloves. I had 2 gloves on,
Okay.
Oh, okay.
and I just ran a prime out of it. Is all I did.
Well, that's
After I
not
got
too bad.
ran
Mine gets hot. Mine
If
gets
you
hot
get-
in about 0.2 seconds flat.
I didn't
If you
want to.
get that running good, Mike, let me know what the setup is, because I cannot get this double star 40 of mine to run.
I'm just gonna try it on the airplane because I checked it, and the bolt spacing is not the same as a 46. And this thing has a cheek cowl on it, and it's got blind nuts in it. So unless I want to hack on the front end, I got to put this motor back in it.
Right.
You know, otherwise I got to start hacking on it. So, and this was just gummed up from caster. It wasn't seized. So I hit it. I didn't want to take it apart all the way. I probably should have taken the head and the back plate off and taken it apart, but I'm lazy. So I just hit it with the heat gun and put a bunch of fuel in it and just turned it through and loosened everything up. And when I thought it was free enough, I ran a prime through it. It seems to have good compression. So,
Steve, which one do you have?
I got the double star 40 just like that.
The plain bearing.
Yeah.
And it won't. What won't it do?
It won't needle. It goes from rich and dies to just screaming away with like 2 clicks.
Put
I
a
don't
smaller
know.
venturi on it.
Huh?
Put a smaller venturi on it where it has to suck harder, or take the needle valve apart and make sure that you got the gum out of the needle. It sounds like you got gum in the needle valve. Those things don't draw as hard as an OS does. And if you don't keep the needle valve clean. When I get home from flying my old timer that has a double star in it, it's a Jameson Special. I always take the needle out and blow air through it, and then cover it and blow air through the tube and make sure it's coming out the venturi to blow it out of the venturi, and then put the needle valve back in. I hate doing that because I'm one of those that I may go a month or 2 without touching the needle valve.
yeah.
If I crank the thing up and it's right, I don't touch it. We got guys that have to touch the needle valve every flight. Seldom do I touch a needle valve.
Yeah, I've been talking to John Paris because his runs fine, and this thing from day one, brand new, didn't run with a crap. They had me open up the venturi, and it still don't run with a crap. And now another guy he works with has one that had the same problem. It's like the thing has no power, and I'm like, this thing needs more nitro. It acts like a high performance engine with no nitro in it, and it's just dead on the needle. I mean, it's like too rich, too lean, too rich, too lean.
Well, I'm probably going to get chastised from some of my buddies for saying this, but with a double star 40, put 15% in it. You'll like it.
Because
That's what
if I get it to run a little bit fat, and you know how you can just pinch the line, and it should take. If you pinch that line, it's done. It's quit.
Wow.
It's not drawn good enough. You need a smaller venturi in it.
I think you need to put some electrons through the double star. It's going to run fine.
That's it.
Oh, my goodness. That's the expected.
Let me ask you this: what's the fuel mileage on these things? Because this is the tank that was on that Cardinal, and man, that don't even look like a 4-ounce tank to me. I think this is like a 3.5 ounce tank.
Look how thick it is. Might surprise you.
I don't think it's 4 though. I run these. I mean, I have a bunch of these. This looks like 3.5, not 4.
I don't think you're gonna need more than 3.5. They kind of run like a Fox.
Does it?
They sip fuel pretty good. That and a.
Okay. All right. Well, I'll put this tank.
I'm thinking mine runs an old time pattern on 3 and an 8, and most of my 46 runs 3 and 3/8, and I think it's 3 and an 8. So full pattern, you're probably going to be right at 3.5 to 4 to 3 3/4 ounces.
Well, I'll
You
just
might have enough.
I'll clean the tank out and put it all back together the way it was built. I got to put a couple patches on the airplane, but I'll try to fly it the way it was built and see what happens.
Yeah, sure. It sounds nice and snappy.
What? Yeah. See, mine seems kind of flipped over. It seems snappy, but I'm wondering what prop are you? I've tried 10.5, 10.6.
I run 10.6 on mine.
11.5. I run every single prop, every damn different glow plug I can think of, and that thing just has no guts whatsoever. I mean, it's the worst running engine I've ever had. But
wow,
I didn't know if it's just not broke in yet, or
they do take a lot of breaking in.
This
They're like a darn fox.
This has an 11 on it. I don't know what the pit. It looks pretty stout. It looks like an 11.5 maybe. Got a lot of pitch.
Is it not right there near the hub, Mike?
Well, it's got a big old. It's got aluminum.
Very higgly on it.
I mean, I could take it off, I guess, and take a look, right? But I'm lazy, like I said.
You know, my double star 61. It ran better on synthetic. I didn't use any caster.
Yeah, they do run better on synthetic. But I run 15% in mine all the time. It just doesn't want to run on 10.
So 11.6 on there.
Yeah,
I've heard people say it'll run on 11.6.
Isn't that like supposed to be like a Super Tiger 60 clone?
No, it's a Fox 35 clone.
Oh,
11.6. Boy, that just sounds wrong. But you know what? I'm gonna run it the way the guy had it set up and see what happens.
Yeah.
Yeah, see what happens.
Give it a go. I mean,
because that the airplane is well built. Like I said, it's well built. It's light. Obviously, whoever had this thing knew what they were doing. So we'll just leave it the way it was.
Yeah,
get you to 15% and put in it and see what happens.
Yeah, I've got some, or I can make some.
Yeah,
you can dilute some.
I got some 15% GMA or whatever.
Yeah, that'll work great.
But
I run no caster in mine, but it doesn't matter. That caster is not going to hurt it.
Yeah,
would you think like maybe 75 cents, 25 caster? Because that's actually a blend that I run in some.
Yeah, that ought to be beautiful in it.
Okay.
That ought to be great.
But yeah, I got to try something because like John Paris, he's tried different props. His runs great on everything. And now his buddy there has one they cannot get running, does the same thing that mine does, and he doesn't understand why. There's something I'm wondering if there's not enough compression. If the head, you need to.
No, I doubt that's it. When mine didn't run, I sent it back to Florida to Roy Trantham. Roy's not with us anymore, but Roy put a different Venturi in mine, choked it down a little bit, and cleaned the Venturi out. He said he made a larger hole in the Venturi, the bleed hole, and sent it back. And I took it and ran in the backyard, and it like ate my finger off. It started first flip, and it had never done that before. So a little bit.
The same thing with this. I got to use a starter to start it, or it will not start.
Oh God, I don't. If I have a motor, I can't crank. If I have a motor, I can't crank with my fingers. I get rid of it.
You know what it could be? It could be just a bad needle valve design. Because sometimes if the hole is this big and the needle valve is kind of the same size as the hole, right? It approaches, gets closer and closer, and then it kind of shuts it down or too much kind of thing. Right. So maybe if you take the tip of the needle valve and just get it sharper, and also run a drill through the center, just make sure that the drills, the side hole connects to the other one. You have no bores in there and stuff like that, so the needle actually gets in and out and does what it's supposed to do. It sounds to me it's like it's a needle issue, because if the motor starts and has good compression, it should be running if it gets the proper amount of fuel. To me, I'd probably just put my finger on that, or maybe something funny in holes that are done for the needle valve in there. So,
Steve,
or just put some electrons through it and end the discussion. forever.
I think Train's got an idea. Just change the needle valve.
Yeah, that's what I thought. I thought about putting one of them foxes in that have the O-ring in it.
Put something decent in it. Put your Super Tiger needle valve in it.
Yeah.
Fox. There ain't nothing in a Fox that you want to throw at a dog's butt. I mean,
I love that new needle that Fox came out with the O-ring in it and didn't leak or anything.
I never saw one of those. I've
Oh, you
heard of
never
them.
did?
I've never seen one. Never seen one.
I love them, and you can't even buy them anymore. I got a couple of them, but we had guys, well, Dick and stuff. They were using them on combat because you could tune them. They made it like Fox made a remote for it, and they were using it on combat ships and stuff. It seemed to work well, but then they went out of business. And
yeah. The guys locally, the older guys locally, all told me the trick for a Fox needle valve is put a piece of fuel line on it that's just long enough that when you get it to where you run it,
it hits.
It's just hitting.
Yeah.
Well, I did that, and it ran great, and I forgot about it, and I went to Tucson, and Tucson, the air's a lot thinner. You run the needle in more. Well, I took off, and I'm flying. David Fitzgerald came over to me and congratulated me. He says, I can't believe anybody did a 6-second loop. I did 5 of them.
Damn.
And then did about 2 laps level, and it quit out of fuel. It ran a tank out that darn quick, but I was determined I was going to fly it till it quit. But, I mean, it just absolutely. That was the most ridiculous flight I've ever done.
You did a 6-second loop?
6-second loop. I didn't time it. David and Mary Gephardt did. You remember her?
Yeah.
I don't know whatever happened to Mary, but I used to love that woman. She come out and she cut up, and she was a judge, and she was as critical as any judge you've ever met. But she could tell you what you did wrong. And if you thought about it, she was right. And I always respected her for that. She didn't care if it was David Fitzgerald or she'd know me from Adam's House Cat. But she could tell you what you did and what you did wrong and how to correct it. She'd tell you, go over there and practice doing this. But with me, she just came by and said, turn the damn needle in a little bit more. I said, no, I got to.
And is actually an OS Max. That's an actual OS Max, standard OS Max remote needle valve from an LA engine.
How the heck did you get it on to work on there? You did
It
well.
It didn't take anything. It just fits.
Well, be darned.
Very nice.
I've got a Fox Eagle 60 that has a needle valve. I mean, well, it bolts on in the front like that. Tom has one that they have reworked, and he can change the Venturi inserts to go down in it. I want to see him fly that thing. It's got to be a great running motor.
Is that a Fox 35, Peter?
No, actually, this is a Fox 25.
Okay. And how many
That's a
bolts on
fine.
the head? Is that a 6-bolt head?
That's a 6-bolt, yeah.
Okay. I have a
grows up.
4-bolt Fox 25.
Yeah, 6-bolt. I tell you what, I've got an old Fox. It's a 2-bolt back plate, 4-bolt Fox 35. And the guys kept ribbing me, yeah, it's a cool engine, but you'll never run it. You'll never run it. You'll never run it. So one day I put it in my Stunt Wagon 30, took it to the field and flew it. The darn thing ran great. But I had forgotten that I reworked the motor, the 35 on the Stunt 30 to detune it quite a bit because little Stunt Wagon's not a very big airplane. And I had a day trying to keep up with that thing. It was quick. I mean, it was quick. Felt like I was trying to fly a combat plane. But it did run.
Where John Miller went. He's been gone for a long time. Hope he's okay.
Hey Phil, here's that Fox needle.
Wait a minute, I gotta find you're not showing up.
Is that a Fox needle?
There he
There
is.
you go. There he is.
What?
Well, how about that?
That's a
big
unique needle.
That's a big rascal.
It has an O-ring and stuff, and it doesn't leak.
Oh yeah, look at that.
That's cool.
It comes through, and you put the screw in the other side.
Now, is that a Fox 25?
That is cool.
Yep, that came on
cool.
the last of the Fox 25, the Fox 35s.
That's a four
That's
bolt.
the first one. That's the
Four
first one
bolt
I've ever
head,
seen.
right?
First one I've ever seen, but that's neat. That's
Yeah, and
neat.
it's weird too because it comes in the same. You hook up the fuel and right where the needle's at.
Oh,
Wow.
that's really cool.
That is
I
cool.
have one like that, but not the needle valve like that.
But yeah, I love them things, but they're out for like 1 year and then it's over.
Yeah. Well, it's like everything else that anymore. You the time you find it and it works, they quit making it.
Yeah.
Hey, welcome back, John. I was going to get ready to call you. I was wondering where you've been.
Oh, I had to go take a little bathroom break.
All right.
Ah.
Cool. I'm going to call you in a few minutes to make sure you're all right.
Yeah, I'm okay.
Hey,
Well, I tell you what, I'm learning as I get older that the memory is maybe not the first thing to go, but I'm telling you, some of these other things I wish I didn't have to remember. Oh, you can't last as long. You got to go to the restroom. What I mean is you got to go to the restroom on a regular basis.
Yeah.
Like sit down in the car and go to the field, and used to just get to the field and unload the car and go flying. No, get to the field, stand up, go to the restroom, then unload the car and go
I
flying.
know. Yeah, exactly.
Just a lot of these things getting older. I really don't care for.
No, it's not for wimps. That's for darn sure. I'm only 62, but
Yeah.
I've seen it's not for wimps. Hey,
Yeah.
John, I wanted to thank you, John. I actually added some nitro to my
leave on the bathroom at 7:30.
and I got the Stalker to run today. So I took my red Strega out with the new Stalker 81,
Yeah.
and I put about 8% nitro in it, and it ran. And
Yeah.
I think it's going to be broken into more. Keep running and playing, and I might fly it next week if I get another chance to break it into more.
That's what happens when you get up into warmer weather. I remember I went to Tucson or Phoenix to fly at a contest. There was 111, 112 degrees. And I was flying
Really?
a Pathfinder profile with a 40 FP on it, and I couldn't get it to run with diddly on my 10%. So he said, "Here, just try some of this 15%." Ran great. Yeah, you just need to add, get real hot. You need to add a little more nitro.
Yeah, I was just surprised that I broke it in on no nitro, and the engine ran great on the test stand. So I was like, I didn't understand why I wouldn't run. What the darn? And I just went out today, and it was great. But I did notice a little bit that when I raised the nose up, I don't know if it was pre-igniting or it would do. I'd hear something, and I don't know if I have too much nitro or not. I don't know what that was.
Add a head gasket.
Put a head gasket in it.
All right.
Put one more gasket in it and see if it still does it. If it still does it, put one more.
But when it
Because
cools
that
off,
motor's right.
when it
Go ahead.
cools off, take them all off, take it back off with nitro.
Yeah. Yeah,
you
mine
use
runs
power,
so
though.
sweet. I took mine out Monday and ran it first time. Monday and Wednesday were the only 2 days we've had that didn't rain this week, and it's raining like blue thunder out there tonight. But anyway, we went out Monday and ran it, and I just said I'm going to try to fly it. I didn't want to just run it. I want to put it in the plane and fly it. So I took off and flew it. The first time I was chicken, I just did some climbs and dives because it's a new plane. And second flight, Tommy said, "Stunt the darn thing. It's made to be stunted." So I put a pattern on it, and I got as far as the first loop of the cloverleaf, and it sped up one time. And I realized a few seconds later what it's doing. It's not running out of fuel. It's breaking in and running better because it ran a lot longer. When I got through, I chickened out and leveled out, thinking it was running out of fuel because I only put 4 ounces in it. A 76 running on 4 ounces?
Yeah.
That don't compute.
They will do that. They get great.
But anyway, I leveled out and ran another 16 laps before it ran out of fuel.
Yeah.
I said, goodness. So the next time I put 3 3/4 ounces in it, and it ran the pattern and 2 laps. And I said, okay, that's nice, but that's cutting it a little close for a brand new airplane. So we're running 3.5 ounces after that. But I think I'm going to like this Stalker, Big John. That thing, easy to start, got great manners. It just does everything well. If the 81 is as sweet as the 76, next year I'm gonna have to look into one of them.
Yeah,
See
well,
if go ahead.
the thing is as you're finding out, as it
Mhm.
breaks in, you get a longer run, and the amount of fuel you use, the stabilizes. It gets to a certain
Mhm.
point and it stays there, and that's
Yeah.
when you know you've got it broken in.
Well, I'll tell you one thing. This thing is surprising me. It's so gentle in its brake, 4.2 brake, but it's so darn strong. I mean, this is a 76-ounce airplane, and it pulls it like it's a feather.
Right.
It is strong. It is really strong.
Yeah.
But I flew that thing, I don't know how many flights, and then I flew the Nobler one flight. I flew the Nobler Wednesday, and Luke says, "Oh God!" I landed, and he's doing this. And I said, "What's the matter, Tom?" He said, "That thing's so loud it hurt my ears." Which one? He said, "That last one, the Nobler." He was teasing me because it's electric, but
Well, you'll like if you ever get a chance to run or fly the 81. You'll like it. The
I want
81 got a bad rap because for some reason or other people didn't want to play with it, or they thought it didn't work. I mean, it's like the Stalker 40's got a bad rap, but I run them and they run beautifully. All
Well,
right.
I'm intending to try one of those in a Nobler. That's a great looking motor. Tom Dixon runs those, and his are one flip starts,
Yep.
run like a sewing machine. And one thing I can tell you, if you buy it from Tom Dixon, and Tom tells you how to run it, just do it like Tom said, do it, and it'll work.
Of course.
But Tom's a pretty good cat. I've known him for 45 years or better now, and he's
Yeah.
very opinionated but very honest. He's a good guy.
Yeah.
Hey guys, I'm out of here. It's almost midnight, so
Oh,
See you,
Steve,
Steve.
see you
Hey,
Monday.
Steve.
Oh, what a
Steve, you take care of yourself.
Hey, Steve,
You
thanks
take-
for coming in.
Yep. See you later.
Have a good one, Steve.
Phil, the
Lightweight.
Stalkers, when they first came out, I got my first one. It was like 1999 or 2000, somewhere there. I bought my first one,
Mhm.
and that was the first wave of them coming over. They had the anodized blue head and all that on them.
Oh yeah,
And the thing is, the guys expected the Stalker 61 to run like a Super Tiger 60. They don't.
yeah.
They,
No,
they they've got a different run.
but I tell you
But
what, that 66 long stroke is sweet though.
oh yes, it is. The 61 isn't bad really. I mean,
That's a
it's just,
Tiger 60.
it's not a Super Tiger 60. It's not a PA 61.
No,
And
it's
guys,
unique, but it's got power. It's got Tiger power. It's nice.
yeah, guys though would sit there and they start cutting on the darn thing. Get in there with their magic Dremels and the next thing you know, they made a piece of crap out of them.
Yeah.
I mean,
That motor's too expensive for me to start cutting on. I want to get somebody that knows what they're doing to do it. If it's got to be cut on.
you don't need to cut on them. That's the thing. You run them with no nitro. You run them with 17.5% all synthetic oil and ethanol. That's all you need. If it gets hot, like Charles is experiencing, you can add 5% nitro.
Yeah.
But don't stay there with it. You don't need it. It's only because it's hot. And
Well,
I mean,
Charles.
I went to a contest with a fellow, I can't remember his name now, but he was having a terrible time with a Stalker 40. He thought they were a piece of junk, a piece of crap. And
Yeah.
he took his plate up and he had it all super this and cut here and all that stuff. And I could tell when he flew his airplane, he didn't have as much power as I had in mind. And so I flew right after him. I said, well, I got a Stalker 40 in this. And so he watched the flight, and I landed, and he said, how did you do that? And I said, just like it came from the factory. I just run no nitro, 17.5% synthetic, and methanol.
Yeah, that's what Brett Buck and Randy Smith a lot of times says. Some people send these or do these things to these motors, and they really don't need anything from what they come out of the factory as. You just have to run them a certain way.
That's right. That's right. Too many people are thinking that the magic perfect run is inside somebody's magic Dremel.
Yep, exactly.
Yeah. And with my stalker, Phil, I want more or quicker lap time. I don't go in on a needle. I just put more pitch.
Yeah.
And they don't really, you can't make them run faster. So you just more pitch. They can handle it. The lower
Well, I'm getting ready.
Handle more
I'm
pitch.
getting ready. Next time I go, I've been flying on a 13.5 2 blade. I finally finished carving that 13.5 3 blade spinner, and it looks nice. Luke looked at it. Luke looked at it, and he was impressed. And Tommy is not easy to impress. And I'm gonna put that on it next time out and see how that does. It looks good. Let's see how it flies.
You'd be surprised.
Yeah,
my Stalker 81, I actually had a 3-blade 13.9 pitch at one point. I was only running 6,800 RPM, and I had all the power I could want, and the plane was solid over top. And it was just because I was using the pitch to get the performance.
Using the torque.
Yeah.
They're a torquey engine.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I was going to say, try if you're carving up or adjusting pitch on some wooden propellers or whatever, take it up to 6.5.
Yeah.
Or even
I don't carve them anymore. I take just heat them over the steam, and I got this thing that's got a blade about that wide. It looks like a pair of channel locks, and you're just taking. And it takes a while to get used to how much to twist it.
Sure.
Twist it and then put it back on the gauge and look and get that blade done, and then do the next blade the same way. Time you get it all finished, you want to put it in somewhere where it's going to stay nice. But I put mine in the freezer overnight. Everybody says that's crazy, but it works.
You put what in the freezer?
Take a set back. When I repitch a wooden prop and I have to steam it, and I take this clamp thing. I'll bring it up Monday night. I take that and put it on the prop and pitch it, move the blade to where I want it, give it more pitch or less pitch, and hold it. You have to sit there and hold it until it cools. You can't just twist it. You got to take and hold it until it cools. Well, I have run them underwater. But anyway, when you get all 3 blades pitched correctly and you're checking on your Prather pitch gauge and everything's right, I've last 2 times I've taken them, thrown them in the ice box and let them sit for a couple of hours just to make sure that they're nice and cool all the way through. And it seems to make them take a set. Now maybe I'm just imagining that, but it seems to make them take a set.
You're right, Phil. The thing is, Phil, is don't be afraid to run that engine on the torque curve.
Yeah, I'm going to do that.
You could run it. You can run 6 to 8,000 RPM and run a 6-inch pitch prop, and the engine will just love it.
Yeah, I'm running 70. I run 7,800 RPM with that 13.5, and I said that's more than what I was told I need, so I need more pitch. So I'm gonna put this 3-blade on it, just a 6 instead of a 5, and see what happens.
You'll be impressed.
So,
hey guys,
can I say something?
Yeah, go ahead, Tryon. Go ahead.
Yeah. In general, all IC motors from different brands, from different manufacturers will run different. Each motor is going to have its own motor run that we can set up. Some have a soft brake, some have a hard brake, some run at a lower RPM, some like it at a high RPM, right? Yeah. And in general, it's like as you put flights on the planes, you pretty much kind of figure it out. Like, what does the engine like? Does it like to run slow? Does it like to run fast? And once you figure out where it likes to run, then you need to figure out what propeller to put on it. And in general, if you don't have enough load on the motor, when you go in a loops or in maneuvers, it's going to go in a 2-cycle. It's going to stay there. Yeah. And then only after you go in level flight, it really doesn't matter if you go normal flight or inverted flight. As long as you go level, it's going to take a long time for it to settle in, right? Yeah. So that means your prop is not enough load. Now, if it runs in 4-cycle and stays in 4-cycle all the time and has a hard time breaking in a 2-cycle, now the prop is too big. So
Okay.
for any motor, if you figure out like where it likes to run, the ballpark,
Yeah.
then you can work with the props, get the right prop, and more nitro gives you more air. So that's
Yeah.
good for higher altitude. As you go higher and higher in altitude on a different field, you might want to up the nitro. And kind of like, make sure fuel line is clear, your needle
Keep
valve
playing.
and needle.
Keep playing. I hadn't thought of that, Trey, and I know all that, but I hadn't thought of it in that context. That's good to
But
know. Thank you.
it's very general. I mean,
Yeah.
it doesn't matter what motor you're getting, right? Just figure out what the motor likes, or ask people around. Hey, this
Yeah.
motor, how does it like stocker? Like, hey, you have to run it low RPM, about around here, right?
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
and and then yeah.
Well,
Oops.
That's
it's
pretty cool.
like a four-stroke engine.
Yeah, let me make a comment here. Terry Forbes on the YouTube side. I'm sure it's regarding to you, Peter, but Terry says he used that remote setup on many glow setups, many great needles out there, but drastically improved running and safety in many motors. Terry and the Pirates.
Yeah,
Cool deal. Well, guys, I've got two
Yeah,
questions I need to ask, but my
absolutely.
battery is getting ready to die. So I will see everybody Monday night.
All right.
All right.
Try to stay out of trouble, guys.
I will try.
Take
You guys,
care.
Hey, if you want to
I'm
go
gonna,
fly, let me know this weekend.
I'd love to. I would love to. You guys be careful and have a good weekend.
we'll do. We'll do.
Take care.
Bye bye.
Hey guys, I'm going to end the YouTube side of this show. I'm going to end the YouTube side of the show, and then we'll continue on. Let me just let you guys know. Hey, we have 16 concurrent viewers right now. That's the highest it's been all evening. We've had like 10, 13. Right now we're at 16. That's great. And we've had some people on the YouTube side. They've been kind of quiet. They just said hello for the most part. And we had a good show, I think. Really enjoyed everybody showing up. Hey, we're going to get together again next Monday. So we look forward to seeing you then. Also, like to continue to encourage you to subscribe, like, and share these videos. And we have a membership, so please consider joining for as little as $4.99 a month. And I'd like to thank you for showing up. So we'll see you guys next Monday. And I'm going to cut the stream, but we can continue to talk here off the YouTube side. And I'm going to get to the stop the stream here now.